I'm David Skander.
I'm Justice Burkett.
And today we're here to find out, is Aliens the greatest movie ever made?
This is some real pretty shit now, man.
You finished?
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Oh, what have you done? You're a pink pony girl, and you dance at the club, oh mama.
HR Giger?
Oh, hello, Justus.
Hey, well, nice to have you back in the studio. Did were you invited back because we're covering the second Alien movie, or did you?
I come around every April 26th like a cosmic horror Santa Claus.
Got it. Okay, well that actually explains one of the lingering questions that we had after your last appearance last year, which is why you were here considering you are dead. But it makes more sense if it's like a once a year thing, like your spirit is just kind of popping.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
all right.
I saw that you neglected to leave out a glass of motor oil and a plate of squid eggs for me.
Yes, I do apologize for that. I now that I know that it's around April 26th, I'll be more prepared moving forward.
Good. It's been so long since I've seen you last. I
Yeah.
met George and the flying blue Jewish creature on the way in.
Oh yeah, Watto. I don't believe he's canonically Jewish. I think it's more just like an unfortunate stereotype thing.
Oh. Well, I would very much like to experiment on him if you get the chance.
Yeah, I mean, if you can catch him, have at it, my man.
BT Dubs, darling, I love what you've done with the place in the
thank you.
past year. The new deck is nice.
Thank you.
It's all wonderful.
I built that with my own hands. Pretty proud of it. Yeah.
Do you know what my initials stand for?
You know, I'm actually not sure what your initials stand for.
Home renovations, Giger. So I have a few home improvement ideas from my vision board.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh about your name.
I had a few home improvement ideas from my vision board to suggest if you have some leftover money in your budget.
Okay.
So
all
you
right.
have this big, beautiful backyard with all this space.
Yeah.
You know, you let your dogs run around, and it seems like such a shame that it doesn't have an evil eldritch nightmare ghost train that you can ride around on.
Oh yeah, a little bone roller coaster.
Yeah.
I know that you were a fan of those things. You had one at your own home, I believe.
Yes, I made one for my house in Zurich.
Yeah.
I ride around it sometimes to excite the voices. You know,
Yeah,
other
right.
people calm the voices, but I sort of go the opposite way with the voices. I have a
Right.
different relationship. I
Right.
just let them go off.
Yeah. I'd be interested in one of those bone roller coasters. I'm not sure how much that would set me back. So if you have like a contractor guy who did that work for you, I guess shoot me his info and I'll get an estimate.
Okay.
on a bone roller coaster for my backyard.
He's pretty hard to get in touch with. Normally, there's like a blood sacrifice required.
Oh, okay.
And you have to open a portal to a dimension. It's a whole
Got
thing.
it.
But
it.
I had some other
More of a
ideas.
long-term project. Then.
Yeah. Some other ideas I had that were floating around in my idea book. You know,
Yeah.
I just go to my mind palace and brainstorm. So we convert your guest bathroom into an egg incubation chamber. Obviously.
Okay, all right. What's coming out of these eggs that we're incubating hypothetically? Because if it's anything like the creatures in the James Cameron film Aliens, based of course on characters that you helped design, I don't think that would be great for my living situation, just having a bunch of little baby xenomorphs running around.
Well, I think the fun thing with the eggs is that we can play around with them a
Okay,
bit, do some
yeah,
genetic tampering. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
we'll workshop it. Yeah.
Another one, we turned the living room into a bone chapel.
Okay.
It's a chapel made of bones.
I do
you
think
see?
High Priestess Pod would actually enjoy that quite a bit. Yeah, so far this is the most promising idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the Bone Chapel.
Next, we bury your entire house 150 feet underground.
Okay.
And it's only accessible by a labyrinthian series of flesh tunnels.
That would solve a pet peeve of mine, which is people coming to the door trying to like sell me stuff. If they had to navigate a labyrinthine system of flesh tunnels, seems like they're probably not going to make it to my front door most of the
you know,
time.
maybe they get lost and become part of the flesh. It absorbs them, you know.
Yeah. All right. Interesting.
Also, I think we put a 30-foot high obelisk in the center of your dining room that constantly emanates a high-pitched frequency that
Okay.
causes you to bleed from both eyes.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll have to think about that one. The eye bleeding thing we can just table for now. But the main thing is I don't think there's room in my living room for a 30-foot high obelisk, so we'll also need to raise the ceiling.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, all right.
Sorry,
He's getting
Eustace,
another phone call.
I have a phone call.
Another
Excuse
phone
me.
call, meaning the second one in 2 years, just to be clear.
Howdy, hey, hi, hello, this is HR. Oh, hello, dear.
Home renovations geeker himself.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll be right over there. Love you, kiss, kiss. Sorry, Eustace, that was my wife.
Oh, okay.
I have to leave. It's an emergency. You know, she's having it.
She's having it.
Yes, she's been. It's been a long time gestating, and it's finally time for her to have it.
Okay, so congratulations are in order, it sounds like?
Yeah,
a little vague.
Congratulations or portents of doom. You know,
Okay.
either way.
All right.
But I have to go.
Okay.
Please give my best to David. I know he's not here yet. He's running a little late. You know, things are a little fraught between us, but I want to try to open a new channel of communication.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll get back.
I'll give him your regards, and the best to you and your wife and your potential offspring.
Sure, if you want to call it that.
Right. All right.
Okay, goodbye.
Yeah,
Have a good
always-
podcast.
Yeah, always a delight having you, HR. Thanks for stopping by. Hey David. You know the craziest thing. You literally just missed HR Geeker. Like
Man.
seconds between him leaving and you showing up.
You know,
It's almost like he did it on purpose, or you did it on purpose.
Things have been a little bit fraught between us.
That's
you know?
that is the
It's like,
exact terminology he used.
I want to talk to him, but it's hard, you know?
Yeah.
I guess, like, we'll figure it out maybe next year.
Yeah, I mean, even maybe before next year, just break out the old Ouija board and see if you can get a line to him that way.
Okay. Hi. Welcome to the greatest movie ever made, the show where we watch a movie and tell you if it's the greatest movie ever made.
Did you know that guy's initials apparently stand for Home Renovations Giger?
No, really?
Real shocker. I was pretty floored.
I was pretty sure they were Hans Rudolph, but I guess Wikipedia is wrong.
I had heard that it was Hey Really Giger. I don't know where I heard that. Definitely not somewhere that also does an HR Giger impression that sounds remarkably similar to ours.
Movie that is so thoroughly entertaining and compelling that while you're watching it, it's the only thing that matters in the world.
Yeah.
Or the universe,
Mhm.
the galaxy, the vast, empty, depressing nothingness from which there is no return.
Yeah.
Which is the subject of today's film.
I think the subject of today's film is motherhood. I mean, in a lot of ways.
Sure. Also Vietnam.
And Vietnam. Yeah. And also guns.
Yes.
The subject, Aliens is a movie about guns.
Before we get to aliens, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Pretty good. Not bad. I am just busy and tired, and there's no end to the busy and tired in sight. There's in fact more busy on the horizon because it's like, all right, you know, I'm making okay money, all things considered, at the with the nonprofit jobs, but like, gotta bring in more income. Gotta figure that out. And like, it's not like it's doable, the position that I'm in, but I am gonna have to like hustle. And
It's like good to plan ahead and
Yeah.
be proactive with
and I'm
that
gonna
stuff.
have to hustle. I'm gonna have to like get some other gigs going on instead of just the one job. I'm gonna need to like figure out more part-time things. And I actually I figured out I got like some contract work lined up as of like yesterday, which will start bringing in a little bit more, but it's just like I'm going to have to keep cobbling little things together like that, and I'm going to have to become like a hustler. Like, I'm going to have to get my hustle on. And as someone who has just like had jobs that I like clock into and clock out of and don't think that much about, the fact that I'm going to have to be like such a fucking, I guess, self-starter in the near future is a little like scary to me, where I'm like, oh shit, like I really gotta like make sure I'm bringing in money. Money's not just gonna come in because I show up to a place I hate every day. And I chose this, and it is better, but also it's scary. You know, changes change is scary always. But
Yeah.
but I am doing good. Just a little freaked out about that stuff. But yeah, in terms of media recommendations, I have been listening to a lot of black metal this week for some reason. And the album by the Dutch black metal band Noctambulist, and I specify the Dutch one because there's an American Noctambulist who are neo-Nazis.
Oh.
This is not the neo-Nazi one. This is the Dutch one. They're good. They post like, if you have a problem with trans people in metal, get the fuck out shit on their Instagram. So they're good people. But yeah, the Dutch band Noctambulist came out with their new album Noctambulist 2 De Droom. Dutch is such a fundamentally unserious language. Sorry, De Droom. De Droom is dude is the first track title on this album, and then the last one is Long Live De Droom. Anyway, it's a good album. Sorry, I'm not just making fun of the Dutch language. It's a good album, good black metal album. And it is sort of atmospheric black metal, sort of black gazy. There's some clean vocals at bits, and then some like more traditional black metal sounds, and it's good, and I like it. David, how are you doing?
I'm okay. I had sort of an interesting week and like emotionally.
Yeah.
So like watching Aliens definitely piqued my emotions, like brought me back a bit. But
Yeah.
I was things weren't going too well for a little while there.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I don't have anything to recommend. I was gonna do the thing where I listen to one Avenged Sevenfold album per week, and I just didn't listen to Waking the Fallen last week.
I love that you introduced the bit last episode and then just didn't do the second week.
And I mean, I don't know. It doesn't
need to be a week by week thing. You could just drop in every time you do it.
That was my intention, was to do it week
Right.
by week, but at the end of the day I was like, I'm not really feeling like listening to it, and this is going to be a long episode. We have a movie to talk about, so we probably shouldn't be stalling things by throwing in 5-minute bits that go nowhere and serve no purpose.
Yeah, it's a good thing we haven't done that on this episode.
Yeah.
We just had HR Giger show up at the beginning, but like that was unrelated.
Yeah.
That wasn't a bit. That guy was just here.
Yeah. So no, nothing to recommend, but it's been kind of a rough week, but thank you for asking. I'm doing okay. And we are here to talk about Big James Cameron's 1986 film Aliens.
Yes. Welcome back to the show. Big Jim, last seen with True Lies, a movie that is perhaps not among his best, which is, a high bar.
The farther away I get from the True Lies episode, I sort of think that might be my least favorite James Cameron movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's, again, like, best James Cameron movie is a high bar.
Yeah, it's still great.
Yeah, he fucking makes some of the best movies in the entire world, and all of the most financially successful ones, except for something that starts with Avengers. Yeah, no, he's the fucking king. Like, what can you even say? But we're here because like True Lies was like not necessarily him on his king shit. Aliens is him on his king shit. This is like in some ways, because this came out before T2, right?
This is his second film, not counting Piranha 2.
Yes. And so, yeah, because T2 was like 92 or something.
Yeah, it's 91. So
91.
This is it's Terminator, Aliens, The Abyss, and then T2.
Yes. So yeah, this is really him. Like, this is basically him strutting into Hollywood, undoing his fly and taking out his enormous dick and balls in front of everybody for the very first time is basically what this movie is. Because like Terminator was a hit. It was successful, the first Terminator, but it wasn't like, I feel like James Cameron as we know him today really is introduced to the movie-going public in earnest with this movie.
I think this is, in terms of artistically what he wants to do, in terms of the way he makes films, his vision as a filmmaker, this is his defining work.
That's a much more eloquent way of saying it than me saying he took out his big cock and balls.
Sure, I mean,
Yeah.
he did do that.
Yeah.
Because Terminator was scrappy, low-budget filmmaking, which he came from growing up,
Right.
from working with Roger Corman,
Mm-hmm.
doing effects work. doing painting backdrops, painting matte paintings, doing all that grunt work, shooting Terminator without permits, scrappy low budget style, and then now he's shooting in Pinewood Studios
Mhm.
and has access to some of the biggest stars of the 80s.
Yeah. And what a cast of stars of the 80s it is in this movie. I think this cast is great. I also think it's like just kind of an interesting cast. Like it's like there's some of the casting decisions in this movie I'm like it's sort of amazing that this person is working in this role. Like Bill Paxton is crazy in this movie. The other one that I always like anytime I even think about this movie, because as you know, I've only seen it a couple times.
Yeah, you watched it a year ago,
Yeah.
and I was curious what your relationship to it has been, or how it's lived in your mind over the past year.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely since watching it for that first time, I've definitely like thought about it and stuff, and connected it sort of things that I saw in it to other movies that I have subsequently viewed, especially other action movies or sci-fi movies that came out after. Because now that I've seen it, right, after seeing it, it's one of those things where like you see one of those totemic movies, and then you like see other movies that maybe you've even watched before, but came out after this totemic one that was kind of a gap for you, and you sort of start seeing the influence of this movie, right? Like in this case, Aliens, right?
Mm-hmm.
On stuff that I like already appreciated, like, you know, like Event Horizon and stuff, right? And so like I definitely like think about it while I'm watching other movies the most, I think, because this movie is so like enormously influential. Maybe less influential than the first entry in the franchise.
I would contend, I do not think, I would contend
Yeah.
this is the most influential film that we've talked about, including the first Alien.
Okay.
Which I can get into. But
I'll be interested to hear your take on that. Because I think just from like a strictly aesthetic, like a visual perspective, it feels like the first one is maybe more influential to me, but like I'm thinking about things in terms of how things look. And I think that I think you might be right. I think in maybe terms of structure and pacing and stuff like that, like there's maybe more that people have mined from this movie. But I'll be interested to dive into it. But yeah, no, it's one that I think about. Like I said, I mostly think about it while I'm watching other movies, right? Where I'm like, oh yeah, this is like an Aliens thing, right? And yeah, the thing that I think about the most, and this connects to what I was saying before, is like the performance in this movie that will not leave my fucking brain is Paul Reiser. It is fucking crazy that this guy doing this performance in this movie works so well. Because like if you actually watch what he's doing, it's like this is not obvious like fucking slam dunk shit that he's pulling off. He's not doing like a slimy corporate greaseball performance when you actually watch what he's doing, right? He's so horny. He's so suave. He's kind of sexy, right? And it's like it's very interesting that he's like doing all those things when his character is like one of the bad guys from RoboCop, you know? Like he's basically like Miguel Ferrer's character from RoboCop, but he's playing him as like, oh, I'm just a sweet little baby boy.
Right.
And it works so well. And it like blows my fucking mind every time I like think about it. And then watching it again for today, I was just like, man, is this the best acting anyone has ever done? Is Paul Reiser as Burke in Aliens.
It's one of those roles that is so defining that I associate with Paul Reiser so much. Like I don't know what else I've seen him in other than Stranger Things season 2, which I'll bring up in a second here. But
which the only reason he's in that is
because he's in Aliens. But he's good enough he's so good as Carter Burke in Aliens that the minute he showed up in Stranger Things season 2, I was like, I don't fucking trust that guy.
Right.
I don't trust him at all.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Man, him just like sauntering into this movie and just being like, it's okay, kiddo, and sitting backwards on that chair. I'm like, that motherfucker.
Oh, he wants to fuck Sigourney Weaver
Oh,
so hard.
I
in
think he
this.
wants to fuck everyone. His energy is basically just like, I'll fuck anything that moves. In a much less insane way than Frank Booth. No, yeah, he's just like, I don't know. He's just got confidence, you know? And then it's like, when he turns out to be such a cowardly little greaseball, you're like, of course, you know? Like, how did I not see that coming from this guy? Because, like, he's all swagger, and, like, he's totally not backing up any of it, you know? Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Talk to me about your relationship with aliens. I know this is one of your favorite movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my relationship with this probably starts in like middle school, high school is when the first time that I saw it.
Yeah.
And like saw it the whole way through and didn't catch, the power loader fight on fucking TNT or something at 8:00 at night. Like sat down and watched the whole way through. But my love for this movie doesn't really begin in earnest until college when I buy the Alien quadrilogy box set. And I just end up watching it a lot.
Yeah.
And for a while, it was a movie that I could just watch at any time, basically. Like I remember my senior year of college, I was pulling a lot more all-nighters than I had done in the rest of my college career. So I'm doing homework until like, I don't know, like 1:00 in the morning or something. And I finish my homework and then I put on Aliens and I just stay up in the middle of the night and watch Aliens because I wanted to watch Aliens. And not just have it playing in the background.
Yeah.
And yes, this is probably my favorite movie.
Yeah.
If not my second favorite behind Good. Like it's this and Goodfellas.
Right.
I can't quite decide between them.
Yeah.
Because Goodfellas is another one of those where it's like it's 2.5 hours long and I can watch it literally any time I want and it just flies by.
Yeah.
Question for you.
Yeah.
We talked about this on Alien,
Mhm.
so I'm going to bring it up again. Is this a perfect movie?
I think so. Yes. I will also say I have a little more hesitation with saying yes blanket to this than I did with Alien 1, because after this most recent rewatch, it has cemented for me even more than ever before. Yeah, well, I guess even more than the first time I watched this movie, right?
Even more than that one
even
other
more
time
than
you've
a
seen
year
it.
ago.
Yeah.
That I am an Alien 1 guy.
Yeah.
And we'll see, I've only seen Aliens twice, maybe that'll change. But so far, I'm like, Aliens, probably a perfect movie. I do think this movie has very few flaws to pick at, right? And I'm also kind of like, I kind of just get more out of the first one and like watching it more, and that's just a matter of personal preference. But like, I do think for what it is, which is a sci-fi action movie, this is the most perfect sci-fi action movie that I've probably ever seen. And the first Alien is not a sci-fi action movie; it's a sci-fi horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's just because I like horror movies more than I like action movies that I have the preference that I do, But like, yeah, and I assume that you would agree with that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, as far as a perfect movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, you bet your fucking ass it's a perfect movie.
Yeah. I know that you like this movie better than the first one.
I think the correct answer to any Alien ranking is that either Alien or Aliens, or Alien and Aliens are occupying the top 2 spots of your ranking.
Yeah.
And either order is fine. If it's in any other movie in those top 2 spots, I will harshly judge it.
Right. If somebody's like, "Oh, Prometheus #1," or
like you want to, if you want to reclaim Alien 3, that's fine. If you want to reclaim Prometheus or Covenant or even Resurrection, that's fine.
Yeah.
As long as Alien or Aliens are in your top spots.
Yeah.
That's all I give a shit about.
I can't really opine on that because those are the only 2 Alien movies that I've seen. But nice to know that I've seen the 2 best ones.
You've seen the 2 best ones,
Yeah.
and like the problem with the others is that there aren't any that are great.
Right.
That are even sort of like coming close to matching
how good these first two movies are.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think Prometheus and Covenant are both good, but like good with a lot of asterisks and caveats at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I've loved this movie for a very long time. I watch it every year. I normally do it like the same night that I watch Aliens, or the first Alien.
The first one. Yeah.
It's just been part of my film diet for so long that
Yeah.
every year it's like, okay, I got to watch Aliens again.
Yeah.
And I contend that this is the most influential movie that we've seen.
Okay.
Of course, Aliens started it all. We wouldn't have Aliens without Alien.
Right.
But I think Aliens has had a broader impact on pop culture at large.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to like structure and pacing and tone of horror and action movies.
Yeah.
How many fucking movies are just trying to do Aliens again?
Yeah.
You know, Dog Soldiers.
Oh boy, stay the fuck tuned.
Yeah. Basically, we could basically credit the first half of Neil Marshall's career. It's just Aliens doing Aliens again.
Yeah, you haven't even seen The Lair. That's the most Aliens his movies have ever gotten. Where he's basically like, what if I do Aliens, but I make the creatures look a little different?
I would even argue that Predator heavily takes influence from Aliens.
Sure. Right, sure.
And then we get into video games.
Yeah.
And I think Aliens coming out in
Yeah.
1986 at the rise of video games.
Yeah. You're right. You are right. And the reason that I didn't think about this is because I don't play video games. But it's like, that is a whole, basically an entire art medium that I don't interact with that is fundamentally shaped by this movie. You're totally right.
I mean, ammo counters on guns, the structure of the movie in terms of like, there's an objective and they're in a room and then they lose a life and they move on to the next room.
Yeah.
And like,
there's even like the HUD with the blinking dots where your enemies are nearby.
The
and
motion
shit.
trackers. Yeah.
Right.
Basically everything about Halo, everything about Doom, everything about Contra, everything about Metroid.
Yep.
And those are just
even some shit in like non-sci-fi games like Call of Duty feels very influenced by this. And you know, like there's other video game franchises that feel like they're just straight up aping this shit. Like Gears of War.
There
right?
are definitely ones that are just like, oh, that is just a xenomorph on the cover. Like that is just a slightly remixed xenomorph.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think this, and that doesn't even count like board games and tabletop gaming. I mean, fucking Warhammer has Space Marines in it.
Yeah.
And I even, as unfortunate as it is, given the subject matter of this movie and the message of this movie, the arms industry.
Yeah.
If you look at a lot of prototype rifles that were designed for the U.S. military, they are just real life pulse rifles.
Right. And they're like they don't even try and really hide that shit.
No,
They
are intentionally trying to make sci-fi looking guns.
Yeah.
Because
the guy who's like the product designer for fucking Armalite or whatever is like a huge Aliens fan.
Yeah. Because I mean, like action movies in the 80s influence gun culture.
Yeah.
Like so heavily.
Yeah. Which is a shame because, like, as you alluded, the first movie feels like it's really pointedly taking aim at capitalist greed, right? This movie feels like it is very much taking direct aim at like the military-industrial complex.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and like especially like private. The relationship between like private companies, like private contractors, and the military. Feels like it's like directly what this movie is being like, hey, this is like bad maybe.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's a shame that it's like that like dudes who perpetuate that shit are like, oh fuck yeah, aliens. Aliens rocks. It's like, yeah. But like, have you like watched the movie like thoughtfully though? Like yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, this is it's a good movie and I love it a lot. And I think it's just like it's infected pop culture in all of these interesting, compelling ways, and then you come back to it, and it's still the best.
Yeah.
There is no... it is better than any of the ripoffs. It is better than any of the movies in the rest of the series that have tried to replicate it,
Yeah.
including Resurrection, including the AVP movies. where, you know, it's just like every other Alien movie is like, okay, which one are we going to be? We're going to be Alien or we're going to be Aliens?
Right.
And a lot of them lean towards Aliens. So, Aliens.
Yeah.
Cameron gets this off of the success of the Terminator script.
Yeah.
He had not filmed Terminator yet.
Yeah.
The script for it gets shopped around Fox,
Mm-hmm.
and Fox taps him to write a sequel to Alien.
Fox was like, hey, you wrote a movie about a robot that goes back in time to kill a lady so that she can't give birth to a baby? That sounds fucking rad as hell. Do you want to inherit the biggest sci-fi franchise around right now?
Yeah, so he...
I mean, I guess Star Wars was the biggest sci-fi franchise
Sure.
around. But yeah.
but they had been looking for a way to bring Alien back. And Cameron writes the script. He goes off and shoots Terminator. Then Terminator's the biggest fucking movie in the world.
Yeah.
And then he's attached to direct this.
Yeah.
There's some contract negotiations with Sigourney, and Cameron totally like hardballs the studio into eventually getting those things ironed over so Sigourney can join the cast. And he heads off to England to shoot this giant, crazy, epic sci-fi action horror film. And it's a James Cameron shoot, so you know it is difficult.
Yeah. Some people did not enjoy making this movie.
He clashed heavily with the British crew.
Yeah.
Because they weren't used to his style.
Mm.
They weren't used to his mindset. Famously, like, they were used to taking a lot of breaks and sort of fucking around a bit. And Jim Cameron didn't have any patience for that.
Yeah. He was like, absolutely not. I'm running this set like I'm the fucking sergeant of a squad of space marines.
And, like, he kept trying to, bridge that culture gap a little bit.
Yeah.
By, like, hey, we're going to have a screening of Terminator so you guys can come and watch my movie and, like, get a sense of who I am and what I can do.
Right.
And they just would refuse to go. There was other things like they're in the middle of a shot and the trolley lady, the tea trolley lady comes around for tea time and interrupts shooting when everyone's running to go get tea and like and pastries and shit.
And I'm sure that James Cameron, famously in the 80s, a very chill, nice man, took that very well.
There's the tea trolley was destroyed.
Yeah, I was gonna say he probably didn't scream at anybody.
No one's saying who did it, but that definitely was destroyed.
Yeah. A thing that I appreciate about James Cameron is he had sort of a reputation for being sort of domineering on set for like the 80s and a lot of the 80s and 90s, and like. He's talked about it like since then and been like, yeah, like maybe I was a little bit too much of a workaholic. Maybe I should have like, you know, been a better dad to my children and shit. It seems like he's done like learning and growing.
Yeah, he has. He has.
Yeah.
Definitely, you know, a lot of learning and growing beyond like the rap party for this movie where he basically announces to everyone, you all suck. You have terrible work ethics. Fuck all of you. That was basically what he said.
Just James Cameron being like, you've worked with this man on what's about to be the biggest movie anyone has ever made. And at the rap party, he's just like, eat shit and die. I did this all by myself.
To be fair to James Cameron.
Yeah. Yeah, because he needs it.
I don't think his ego is unwarranted.
No.
I think the thing that people forget is that he starts off as a low budget filmmaker.
Yes.
So he's there to work.
Yeah.
He's used to being like, we only have X amount of time to get this shot done.
Yeah.
We have to shoot this car chase in the middle of Los Angeles without a permit. Like, he's there to work. He's there to get things done. He knows everyone's job.
Yeah.
And knows how to get his hands dirty and just do the work.
Mm-hmm.
So some of those crew members, when he would come in and like adjust a light or adjust something on a model or work on an effect, were like a little taken aback that like this guy's doing their job for them.
Yeah.
When really it's like, you know, he knows how to do your job and he knows what he wants.
Yeah.
And you have to get on the train or get out.
Yeah. Yes, I completely agree with you. And I think that's why he's always been a guy who, rather than being like a studio for hire guy, has been a guy who has like kind of forced the studios to catch up with him, right? Because you can't just drop James Cameron into any given production and like expect things to go smooth, under budget, on time. It's like that's not how this guy operates. He's gonna execute his vision regardless. And like if the people around him are not working in service of that, like he's gonna do it with or without him,
Right.
And
like he's also young and a little headstrong at this point in his
yeah,
career.
yeah. He was a little bit of an asshole.
Sure.
I
sure.
think that's fair to, and like, but he's an asshole who got shit done.
And like the behind the scenes documentary on the Blu-ray goes into pretty big detail about his working relationship with James Horner on this, who did the score.
Yeah.
And how Horner is working like last minute to get the score in because they don't have picture lock.
Yeah.
And every time they change something in the editing, he has to go back and change the score.
Right.
And they just fought and bickered about it.
Right. Because I'm sure that as James Horner, that was fucking infuriating.
Right. And
Yeah.
it basically ruins their working relationship until Titanic, and
Yeah.
they sort of patch things up, and they do Titanic and Avatar together.
Yeah, it is kind of cool that like a couple of the greatest movie scores that anyone has ever made, Aliens and Titanic, came out of those working conditions.
And
right?
like,
yeah.
and it was particularly over the musical cue for the end of the film during the power loader fight at the end of the power loader fight. And it's one of the most it ends up being one of the most iconic musical cues in history.
Yeah.
And like has been used in trailers for other movies.
Yeah.
It's just such a there's just so much to chew on with this movie. There's so many interesting stories, so many interesting themes to take out of it, and I love it so much. And we'll continue to talk about it.
Yes.
The movie Aliens.
I
Starts,
assume
go ahead.
for this viewing,
Yeah.
you watched the extended cut because that's what you always watch.
The special edition, yes.
The special edition, yes. I do not own this on physical media, so I was at the whims of what was available on streaming, and I am a Hulu subscriber, which is the easiest place to watch this movie, and they have the theatrical cut. So I, for the first time, watched the theatrical cut of this movie ahead of this record. But I've seen the special edition, so like I'll know the scenes that we're going to talk about that are not in the theatrical version. But yeah, just an interesting thing. And when I saw that it was theatrical, I was like, well, I could rent the extended and watch that instead. And I was like, no, I think I want to watch the theatrical just to kind of, because I had already seen the special edition. I was like, I want to kind of compare and contrast.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just curious if you would watch the extended cut. But
I did the special edition because I can't remember if I've ever sat down and intentionally watched the theatrical cut.
Yeah.
I did look and see, because I knew some of the basic things that they took out, but I didn't know all of the individual scenes.
Yeah.
And I have to say, everything that was taken out of the theatrical cut was a giant mistake, and I think actively hurts the film. And then everything that they put back into the special edition makes it the perfect 10 out of 10 god tier masterpiece that it is.
This is interesting because watching the theatrical cut, I was kind of like, this is sort of as good of a movie.
I'm sure. I mean, it's probably still a great movie.
I kind of think it's as good.
I don't think it's Blade Runner Final Cut versus theatrical cut.
Right.
But if there is a movie that the pop culture has collectively decided we're just going to memory hold the theatrical cut and only focus on the extended version or the director's cut, it's this and Blade Runner.
Right. But watching the theatrical cut, I was like, I don't know. I expected the whole thing about Sigourney Weaver's Ripley's daughter never being mentioned in the theatrical cut to like take something away from the movie for me. It kind of didn't. I was like, oh, the mom arc works just as well without that. And like, I'm like, yeah, you can kind of lose that and lose some runtime and make this tighter. And it like kind of works. It does speed up the first hour of this movie considerably. take out the stuff that they took out for the theatrical cut. So it was just interesting seeing it because I was like, oh, this is kind of moving faster. Like it's kind of breezy now, which the special edition didn't strike me as breezy.
Yeah, you lose the mom stuff.
Yeah.
Which is not just the scene at the beginning of the movie. We're at the beginning of the movie.
Mhm.
The scene at the beginning of the movie when after she's brought back to she's rescued and brought back to the station.
Yeah.
She meets with Carter Burke, and Burke tells her that her daughter died.
She meets with Carter Burke, who tells her that her daughter died in the special edition before she then has the dream about the chest burster. So it's like, oh, you already have context for who that guy is. In the theatrical cut, the first time you see Carter Burke, he's talking to her, and then the chest burster happens, and then she wakes up, and I'm like, wait, so did she dream that guy before she met him? It is a little confusing in the theatrical cut when you're like, oh, this guy was in her dream.
No,
but then he's also just there.
That's in the special edition it does start with the dream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it does start with the
so
dream.
it's the same in both.
It's the same in both. It's just
right. So where his introduction is in a dream sequence, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's several conveniences and weird things that this movie has if you like stare and look at them long enough.
Right. Yeah.
But I think Cameron does such a good job, like this dream sequence. He does such a good job at making you ignore. It's like the Spielberg magic. Like you just sort of buy it.
Yeah, totally.
And move forward.
No,
with it.
while you're watching the movie, you don't think about it at all. It's only after it ended that I was like, oh, it's weird that his first scene is like something that's not real.
Yeah. Or oh, I guess the queen alien did take the elevator.
Right.
Like did she push the button?
I love that big creepy crawly insect just gets in an elevator in this movie. That is one of my favorite things about this movie, is just thinking about the queen alien being like, so she pressed the button and then what if I press the button? I'm gonna fall. She'll never see this coming. Thank God it's a cargo elevator so my massive body can fit. I don't know why the aliens, the xenomorphs, always sound like Willem Dafoe to me. Anytime I do a xenomorph impression on this episode or our previous alien episode, I always kind of just do a Willem Dafoe voice.
It's like a Green Goblin voice?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe it's because, like Willem Dafoe, they're very teeth-centric actors,
Sure.
these xenomorphs.
Sure, very, very teeth forward. You never forget those teeth.
Yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, there's that scene at the beginning, and then the whole sequence on Hadley's Hope, where we get a little bit of seeing what the colony was like. And then we meet Newt early. Those are missing from the beginning.
The real reason that I was a little sad that I was watching the theatrical cut is because one of the funniest things in the entire movie to me is this fucking family going for like a Sunday drive in their fucking moon rover. They're just being like, well, mother, it's another lovely day here on LV426. It's just like they're just such like an 80s family in fucking space. It always strikes me as very funny.
And by always, you mean the one time that you've seen the movie before this?
And the many times I've thought about it since watching it. Yeah. I've gone back to clips. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also like the guy who's in charge of this operation at the colony, who's like, I don't fucking know why they told us to go look at a grid sector.
Yeah.
It takes 2 weeks to get a response out here, and every time we get a response, the response is don't ask.
Yeah.
I love the capitalist angst of this movie, along with the first one. I love the way that it sneaks in like very insidiously in this one, where there's like the kids on the Weyland-Yutani big wheel and the big like Weyland-Yutani, like all this Weyland-Yutani branded stuff throughout the colony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you miss some of that in the theatrical cut because you see less of the colony, right? But yeah. I like all that shit too. I really like and this is true of the first Alien as well. I love that everything like is shitty quality and like won't work right. I love a sci-fi world where it's like I love the moment where the fucking camera on, is it Bill Paxton's helmet or one of the other?
One of the Marines' helmets.
It's like fucking, and he just bangs it against the headrest. to get it to work, because it's like, no, yeah, this is all like shitty old tech. Like Weyland Yutani is super cheap, so they like make shit that like sucks, you know. And like the everybody, like the military and like everybody at the company and everything is just like trying to pinch pennies as much as pinch pennies as much as possible. So like everything is everything's like obsolete, like out of date, you know, and just like it keeps fucking up at the worst possible moment. Like even when like Sigourney Weaver's like mashing the elevator button at the end, being like, come the fuck on, like this shit never fucking works. And that's big time in the first movie too, and I love all that shit. And I feel like it feeds into the capitalist angst of it all too, where it's like, oh yeah, like not only are these people like controlling our lives and won't give us a straight answer about like what their plans are, but also like they've given us this fucking junk that we have to work with, and it like won't work, and it sucks, and it's gonna get us all killed, you know.
Yeah, I love that it brings back the retro futuristic aesthetic. It does it differently. It's not just a recreation of the Nostromo.
Yeah, there's like new stuff in this movie,
and also, you know, because it's a anti-capitalist retro futuristic sci-fi movie, we're smoking in space still.
I did plan to ask you, is the first Alien or the second movie, we've already talked about which one's a better film, which one's more influential. This is the really important question. Is Alien or Aliens a better smoking in space movie?
And that's the way that you pronounce it. It's Alien or Aliens.
Aliens.
Yep, that's how you do it. That is a very interesting question. I kind of think it's Aliens.
Interesting. I think there's more cigarettes per minute in the first one, but I kind of couldn't decide. So I see your point, because there's a lot of like close-ups on cigarettes in this early part of the movie.
Yeah, there's she's, you know, Ripley has PTSD.
Yes,
so,
which by the way is handled really well in this movie.
Yeah.
The whole thing with her being traumatized from the events of the first film is handled, I think, in the best way that I've ever seen that in the second installment of a horror franchise. Because this is a common thing where, like, the person who survived the first movie has, like, trauma that they're holding on to. And I feel like sometimes it's either overplayed or underplayed, where it's like, why is this person totally fine? Or why is it, like, completely debilitating? And I feel like with Ripley, it's like, I don't know. They handle it really well. They go for a really good middle space with it, where like sometimes it causes her to freeze up, but sometimes it causes her to take action.
Right.
And you can always follow the internal logic. For her.
They don't dwell on it. They make just enough reference to it, and every time it comes up, it's something slightly different. Sigourney does a great job playing it. You can tell that she's living with this, but she's not entirely like crippled by it. But there's one of those moments where she's like basically catatonic, and she's just let a cigarette burn down to the filter.
Yeah,
which is a really, really great close up that Cameron does. That I love the way he starts shots and then just like reveals things throughout this movie.
Yeah.
But the other great like smoking moments in this movie are the deposition.
Yes.
Where there's all these corporate fat cats smoking.
Yeah, in the boardroom where there's like all the faces of the people who died in the first movie being projected on a screen while all these guys are being like, sounds like you're full of shit, lady.
Sounds like you blew up a giant Star Cruiser for nothing.
Yeah. And that is a great smoking in space scene, because they're all smoking. That one lady takes a huge drag from her cigarette and then just does the thing where she holds the smoke in her mouth and re-inhales it, which is like, that is smoking like 400 level, you know? Like, that's advanced shit. I also love how all of the like corporate people, Burke included, have like they're wearing like suits and ties. But because it's the future, it's suits and ties with kind of a fun collar that's popped up. It's like just enough to differentiate it from just like a regular looking suit.
Well, and they're all gray suits, and it's like a gray room, and I
Yeah.
love the way that they all kind of blend in with that.
Yeah.
My favorite smoking moment we'll get to.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's at this deposition. No one believes her story about this alien with acid for blood that she blew out of an airlock and then caused her to detonate a fucking giant star freighter. I was thinking while watching this movie about what my favorite scene is, because I don't know what my favorite scene is, but this deposition scene is one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a great scene. Yeah.
I think all the performances from these actors, I think the performance from Sigourney, which we should mention, she was nominated for Best Actress for.
Right, of course. I mean, like, why not?
But I mean,
it's crazy because it's a genre film,
Yeah.
right? But it's like, yeah. She, do you know who she lost to off the top of your head?
I don't actually.
Okay,
I
yeah.
should look that up.
But yeah, no, it seems like a performance worthy of some Oscar recognition to me. She's playing all the trauma stuff really well. Later on, she goes into action hero mode very seamlessly. All the stuff in between is great. Yeah,
Yeah.
all the mom stuff is good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I love how emotional she gets during this this deposition scene. How everyone basically shoots her down and tells her that they're gonna demote her, and they're closing the investigation. And then there's one final exchange she has with Van Leeuwen, who's the guy who's running this, and she's like, why don't you go just check out LV 426? And he's like, we sent colonists there. And
yeah.
she's
We don't
like,
have to check it out. People have been living there for 20 years.
I'm sure nothing bad will ever happen.
Yeah,
We're not going to immediately cut to a family getting face hugged or anything like that.
yeah.
Yeah, I think this movie, I really love the first hour of this movie. I think the first hour of this movie, despite being slower,
It takes its time.
it takes its
right.
time, but I
don't-
think it
yeah.
has patient pacing like the first one does.
I think yes, I would agree that the pacing of the first hour of this movie kind of mimics the pacing of the first movie in a good way, right? Where it's like, this is how an alien movie works. You start with you start with like a slow ramp up. We're kind of building dread, we're building atmosphere, and it's going to be like an hour before you see anything, right? And I like that this movie does that too. Even in the theatrical cut, that's still sort of how it plays. It's a little breezier, but it is still like, they still give you enough time. It's still, in the theatrical cut, is about an hour before you see a xenomorph.
It's an hour and 15 minutes
Yeah.
in the special edition
Yeah.
before you see a xenomorph.
And and all of that is really good. I think, like, I wouldn't say either of these movies are slow. I think they're patient, right? And I would even say that for both movies, even the second and the third act feel kind of patient to me. It never feels like it's like, I don't know, these movies never feel like breakneck, right? They never feel fast-paced the way that something like a modern action movie, or even some of the other 80s action movies, like, I feel like there's parts of like Die Hard that feel fast-paced, right? I kind of feel like Aliens never feels fast. It always kind of feels patient. There's moments that heighten the drama of what's happening, but it never feels like we stop spending large amounts of time on each individual movement, right? Like, it never feels like it never feels like the movie gets fast enough where you have to like struggle to keep up with it. And I think that's actually a good thing. I think the kind of patientness of this movie is like one of the best things about it.
I think the magic trick that James Cameron pulls in this movie is he does a bigger and better sequel,
Yeah.
but kind of defines the best version of a bigger and better sequel in this film. But he doesn't water down the source material. He doesn't cheapen it. He doesn't make it more palatable for an audience.
Yeah.
He's doing something different.
Yeah.
And and he commits fully to that decision.
Yeah.
Um
And he acknowledges the first movie without ever like you said, he never cheapens it or ignores it. Like he gives it its due, but he also never winks at it, which is like, watching this movie is like I feel like every director who has to make like a Marvel movie should study Aliens before they undertake that, right? They should like study every frame of this movie, because the thing that Cameron is able to do is take somebody else's world and somebody else's ideas and somebody else's character, right? And then be like, okay, how do we acknowledge everything that people loved about the first movie without making this either a rehash of the first movie or like a retcon and ignoring the first movie. And like he finds literally the perfect balance that I don't think anyone else has ever. He does alchemy with this movie.
Yeah.
Where it's like it is as much a follow-up to Alien as it is its own thing. It's like the perfect blend of that, which is like, it feels like that's like so hard to execute because you see it so seldom. It's usually one or the other.
The two opposite ways that this movie could have gone were, it could have been Alien 2,
Right.
which is just doing the same thing again,
Right.
maybe
It's
slightly
like
different.
there's another ship and there's maybe 2 xenomorphs this time.
That's basically Romulus. That's what Romulus feels like to me. Is like, what if we just made Alien 2 before Aliens?
Right.
Or going the other way and just turning it into what my dad thinks this movie is.
Yeah.
Which is a completely unsubtle, unserious, mindless action movie.
Yeah.
And it's never that. I think this is such a there's much more DNA that this shares spiritually with the first one
Yeah.
than like people who maybe dismiss this movie, like my dad, than it really has any right to. Because again, like the bigger and better sequel so often trips and falls on its face because you can't. There's a limit to how much you can push these things.
Yeah.
And Cameron just finds a way to toe that line so well and deliver an experience that is both, pays homage to the original and is very much indebted to the original and is in the same spirit as the original, but gives you a different flavor and doesn't just give you the same,
Yeah.
Crouching around dark corridors, cowering and hiding from an alien again.
Yeah. I like that you're beefing with your dad about aliens on our podcast.
My dad and I frequently beef about aliens.
This is a big fight that you and your dad have.
Talking about movies with my dad is like more painful than a root canal. And
I just tell my parents about movies that I watch, and then they're like, "Oh, interesting," and that's it. That's the end of the conversation because they never see anything that I see. I'm like, "Oh, I saw fucking I don't know, like Eli Roth's Thanksgiving," and they're like, "Who's what?"
see, my dad has that same reaction, but then it'll be a few minutes worth of it. Like, so where did you find this? What is it? What is it? Like, he just watches movies on a different planet than I do.
Yeah.
And Aliens is one that we've clashed over in the past. I don't know that he's seen it probably since the theaters. But he loves and has a lot of respect for that first movie, and like obviously, like I love the first movie.
Yeah.
But I think he undersells how or it should give this movie more credit. But that's his opinion, I guess. He doesn't have to listen to me.
I like that when Ripley is demoted because the results of the investigation are not in her favor, and she's like working on the loading dock or whatever. She cuts her hair short so time has passed, which is actually extremely helpful in the theatrical cut, because in the theatrical cut it goes straight from the boardroom scene where the what's his name? You said the character's name.
Oh, Van Leeuwen.
Van Leeuwen, yeah. When Van Leeuwen is...
I wouldn't have expected you to know the character's name. That's fine.
No, that's fine. I just wanted you to prove that you knew it again, because it's very impressive that you... that you know that guy's name who has 3 lines in this movie. He's like, oh, there's like 60, 70 families, and she's like, families? And then it's like cut to that cigarette burning. You don't get any of the...
Okay.
Yeah. And it is really helpful that her hair's shorter, because it's like, oh, time has passed. I get it, right? So it's a nice little... just one of those little screenwriting hacks or like filmmaking hacks that you see so much in Cameron movies, where he's just like, oh, I know like easy visual language that will immediately get people to understand what I'm going for here, right? But yeah, I like Burke showing up and them drinking out of the weird little space coffee cups. I love those things. And him being like, hey, so you know how everyone said you were full of shit? Actually, it turns out we may have some aliens on our hands.
To her credit, she's like, oh, cool. Have fun with that. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. What's a complaint I have about this movie? This is probably a perfect movie. You know, one of my complaints about it?
What?
Not enough Jonesy.
I think
Give me more of that cat.
Do you want Jonesy to go on the adventure?
I think Jonesy should be Newt instead in this movie. I think trading a cat for a human child, downgrade.
I mean, that's entirely. I mean, you are right. I'm also glad that at least Jonesy gets to live.
That's true. To be fair, what she does, which is saying like, okay, I am gonna go see what's up with this alien situation. You stay the fuck here, cat. I think that's. If she hadn't done that, if she had been like, and I'll take the cat with me, then, you know, I as a viewer would be more upset by that choice. So it's the correct thing to leave Jonesy on the ship. I just like seeing that cat.
It sucks that this is the last we see of Jonesy in the franchise. There's no Jonesy in
Jonesy
Alien 3.
Origins.
In Alien Resurrection, they don't also clone Jonesy along with cloning Ripley. But it was a good decision to leave Jonesy behind.
Yeah.
Also,
Jonesy Covenant.
this is probably a different Jonesy cat actor.
Yeah.
This Jonesy's fucking thick.
Yeah.
This is a fat cat.
Well, I kind of think that the situation is Jonesy got out of cryo sleep and was real hungry.
He's
And
just
she's been
decided to
spoiling
bulk
this
up.
cat because she's like, you survived a fucking aliening. You can have as much tuna as you want. I don't give a shit. He's drinking out of a saucer of milk at one point. I'm like, this cat's fucking living large. He's living on a space station.
I would love a. I mean, I'm sure there's probably something like this out there, like a short story or a comic book that's just Jonesy's adventures on the space station,
Yeah.
running around getting into trouble.
Yeah.
No xenomorphs whatsoever. Burke has some of my, Paul Reiser as Burke has some of my favorite stuff in this movie, in this scene here, where he's like, Burke's MO is gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
Yes.
He is the dictionary definition of gaslight.
Yes.
He just is like, yeah, Ripley, I know that you haven't been sleeping well. I've read your psych reports.
Yeah.
You wake up screaming. And boy, kiddo, I think you should just get out there and face this thing.
Him calling her kiddo fucking was making me furious because she's like, she was in cryosleep for 57 years. She's like 100 years old. Like, she's like,
Don't you talk to Sigourney like that.
No, I know.
Don't talk to Sigourney. No,
to be clear, for 100, she looks phenomenal. But like she's been in cryosleep for like decades, and then she gets unfrozen, and this guy who like wasn't even like a fucking fetus when she was fighting the first xenomorph is like, oh hey kiddo, and it's like, fuck off. Like,
yeah, he wasn't even swimming in his dad's nutsack at that
no,
point.
yeah, it's possible his dad wasn't even born when that happened. But yeah, I like all that shit too, and like I already said, Paul Reiser in this movie I think is the secret sauce that makes this movie as good as it is. I kind of think that like this performance is incredibly important to this movie's whole thing. And this is one of my favorite scenes of the entire movie is when he's talking to her in the little space apartment.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She wakes up from a nightmare and calls him on video
She
call.
video calls him and
And he's like, he's shirtless. He's like, oh, Ripley.
yeah. And he is the
You want to
most,
check out my pecs?
he is the most like charming, suave, and charismatic little greaseball of a person that you've ever seen. Because it's like immediately when he answers the video call that way, you're like, this guy is like weirdly horny about this. And also it's like kind of charming. Like his thing is so specific. It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you sort of buy him for a little bit. You sort
Yeah.
of like, and when he fucking shows up to the colony in like a plaid shirt and a vest,
Yeah.
like a
And you're like, oh,
looking
this-
looking like a tech bro,
Right. You're
yuppie
like, oh,
piece-
this dork doesn't know what he's doing.
yeah,
You know, he really is this well-meaning kind of like, aw, shucks, I'm just middle management, you know?
and he plays that even at the end of the movie when the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, well, I don't know, it's above my pay grade. Right? And it's like, no, like, you're a monster. Like, yeah. Yeah, I love him answering the call shirtless. It's so funny. It's so good. And she's just like, hey, yeah, so the plan is, just to be clear, to kill every last one of these things, right? And he's like, oh, yeah, totally. Don't even worry about it. And she's like, all right, thanks, bye. I like that when she hangs up on him, he was going to say something else. He was going to be, wait, so what are you doing? Do you want to come over? Yeah, so they go to LV-426.
They ship off on the Sulaco.
Yeah.
Which my favorite sci-fi ship design.
Yeah.
What if a ship looked like a gun?
Yeah. It is a ship that looks like a gun.
I fucking love it so much.
You know what I realized, speaking of the design of some of the stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
The vehicles specifically. Really love the design of all the stuff in this movie. You can tell this movie came out after Star Wars was big, because the first Alien was post Star Wars 77, but like was in production at the same time and like wasn't really influenced by it. You can kind of see the Star Wars influence on this movie, I think, in some good ways, because like some of the space photography in those OG Star Wars movies is like incredible stuff with miniatures and stuff. And it seems like they're kind of taking a page out of the Star Wars playbook with the way that some of the stuff is filmed, but also a little bit with some of the design. Some of it was giving like Empire stuff to me in a good way, and not in a like a derivative way, just in like we saw something that worked, that we liked, and we kind of made it our own, you know?
I think if there is a Star Wars influence that I can see, it's just very, very visually, these ships and these vehicles very clearly represent what they mean thematically.
Right.
When you see the Sulaco, it is literally
It's a gun.
It's a gun. It's the military industrial complex,
Right.
Thrusting forward into deep space.
Right. Just like how the Star Destroyers are fucking spikes.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Yeah.
And some of the, a lot of the design cues that they're taking are from vehicles in the Vietnam War. The dropship looks like an A-10 Warthog.
Yes. So I do love the dropship. That is one of my favorite vehicle designs in this movie. The tank thing that they drive. I realized this time watching it how much fucking dork-ass Elon Musk must love this movie, because the Cybertruck looks so much like this thing. I'm like, oh yeah, Elon Musk is just a guy who watched Aliens a bunch of times and was like, yeah, I will make the tank, but I will make it I will make it a truck that is shitty and falls apart and explodes on its own sometimes. It's just it was striking to me how much he must have clearly taken design inspiration from that exact vehicle.
The APC is like one of those James Cameron movie magic things, because
Yeah.
a lot of times it's a miniature, and a lot of times it's a full-size aircraft towing vehicle that they put shit on.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell which is which sometimes with how I think the miniature. All the miniatures in this movie look fantastic, but that especially. But that thing has just such a presence and a weight and a movement to it. And when it pulls up and the Marines all get out of it, like you feel completely immersed in the world, along with the set design and everything.
Yeah.
Also, that thing almost killed people in that movie.
Yeah.
Because it weighed like fucking 10,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Because it was an aircraft towing vehicle that they put shit on.
Yeah. Not surprising.
Yeah, so they wake up on the Sulaco.
They wake up out of cryo sleep.
Wake up out of cryo sleep.
The thing that we have to talk about is the fucking cigar straight in the mouth right out of cryo sleep.
My favorite smoking point in this movie.
Yeah. Best character introduction of all time is just like, waking up, cigar goes straight into the mouth, yelling at Marines. We've met the best character in the history of movies.
Oh, Justice. I'm so glad you said that, because we're here to talk about Sergeant Al A. Pone, also known as the coolest man who has ever lived.
Yes.
So Sergeant A. Pone, I legitimately say this from the bottom of my heart, is my favorite fictional character. Every time I watch this performance, I'm like, yeah, there has never been another guy in movies that I like more than this guy.
It is very funny that the sergeant from Halo is literally like, Bungie was just like, so we'll just make that guy in this video game.
Exactly.
Right? We'll literally just wholesale steal an entire character from a movie and just put him in our video game. Yeah, no, this guy fucking rules. He's the best. We wouldn't have the same stereotype or like archetype of the like cigar chomping, ball busting, tough as nails but with a heart of gold, kind of, likes to joke around but still get shit done, military like squad sergeant archetype that is in like so many action movies and video games and whatnot. If it wasn't for this performance,
yes,
like he's literally creating a whole type of guy in this
courtesy of one Al Matthews.
Yes, Al Matthews,
who has passed away, has a very small filmography, but I think left an indelible mark on the film industry with his performance in this movie.
Yeah,
he served in Vietnam and served as the team's. He sort of ran their boot camp as the characters or the actors all playing the Marines. Went through like a week or 2 weeks of boot camp
because he had actual military experience.
Because he had military experience,
yeah.
And it shows on screen. Like,
yeah,
this is such a beyond just like the Arlie Ermy sort of performance in Full Metal Jacket, where the guy he's just doing this because that's what he knows how to do.
Yeah.
He brings so much life and charisma to this performance.
Yeah. It's that thing of like, this guy is like a total badass, but also he like really cares about his men, right? His troops, right? And like you get both things with him where he's like, he doesn't take shit, but at the same time he's like, no, I got to be like the wall between like this company and like my guys, like I gotta like protect my guys, and you get the full range with him like so early. And so even when he's doing shit like being like, move it, left, right, come on,
yeah,
like when he's just yelling at them, it's like while he's yelling at them, you're like, this is both things, where he's like, it's like he's a school teacher lining up school kids that he cares deeply about to go to lunch. And also like he is like this fucking badass military commander, Yeah. And him talking shit to Bill Paxton is great.
Yeah. Look into my eye. That one always gets me. He has all of his lines are iconic. Like every line this guy gets is awesome.
Yeah.
Another glorious day in the Corps. Day in the Marine Corps is like a day on the farm. Imagine waking up out of cryo sleep to your drill sergeant puffing on a cigar and yelling that shit at you.
Yeah, and I love one of the Marines. It's one of the ones who he has a name, but like he dies pretty early, so I don't really remember him. But I love him after Al Matthews is doing all that shit. He's just like, I fucking hate this job. Shit sucks. I also think so, like, there's some shit with the Marines that's interesting because like this is basically where we learn that in the world of Alien there are other extraterrestrials that we just haven't seen.
Yeah, we never really get into this.
In the first movie, when they find the egg, it's like, whoa, an alien, like this is so crazy, right? And so it seems like these miners have never seen an alien before. Then you meet these Marines, and like Bill Paxton and one of the other guys are straight up talking about how they have fucked aliens before. I think they're specifically talking about eating alien pussy, if I'm remembering correctly, in like the mess hall scene. And I'm like, oh, so not only are there other aliens other than the xenomorphs, but like they have relationships with humans to the extent that apparently like soldiers are like fucking them. So yeah, just an interesting little spice that this movie adds to the world, where it's like, I kind of want to see some other aliens.
When they do the briefing scene, Gorman says a xenomorph may be involved, and it's, I mean, the thing with the word xenomorph is in this movie, it just means an alien. Like it's a word for an alien. It's not specifically the xenomorph as we know it.
Yeah.
Because in the universe of this movie, at least technically speaking, Ripley's the only person who's seen one of these.
Right. So a xenomorph just means like it's something that we don't know what it is yet.
Yeah.
Right.
And it has, there's nose art on one of the drop ships that says Bug Stomper.
Yes.
Hicks calls it a bug hunt.
Yeah, bug hunt is a thing they say a bunch of times. Yeah.
And it's funny that this is never brought up in any of the other Alien movies. Maybe it's in like a book or a comic book somewhere else where we find out what the other aliens are in this universe. But aside from the xenomorphs and the fucking engineers from Prometheus, as far as we know, those are the only aliens.
Yeah,
but
apparently there are others that Bill Paxton is going down on. If this movie is to be believed. I really like the knife thing, the knife trick in the mess hall scene. Great moment.
Yeah,
in this
Lance
movie.
Henriksen learned to do that.
Yeah. That's wild.
And of course they're speeding up some of the footage, but he got really good at that.
It's wild, but also like of course he did. Like that just feels like I'm like, oh yeah, that tracks. Like if you told me that an actor could actually do that, I would be like, well, it's probably Lance Henriksen, right?
What do you think of Henriksen in this movie?
I love Lance Henriksen in this movie. He's one of my favorite performances. I don't think there's a bad performance in this movie. I think that Newt is okay.
You better not be talking shit about Newt.
I think Newt's okay.
Oh my god.
I think everybody in this movie is good. I think Henriksen sticks out to me as one of the best. I think he's great. Like I already said, I think Paul Reiser's great. The other person that I have to give a specific shout out, this feels insane because she's like not really in the movie, but Colette Hiller as Corporal Pharaoh, the dropship pilot.
Oh, really?
She fucking like really stood out to me this time, where I was like, this lady is the coolest person in the entire world. She's wearing the aviators while they're doing the drop.
That performance is 90% aviators to me.
It's so fucking good, though. She's really wearing those aviators. Not anybody's face could wear those aviators like that. And she's great. I also love when she's talking shit to, like, the guy with the most embarrassing last name of all time. What's his last name? He's like fucking... He gets iced immediately after they say his name for the first time, so he's like barely in the movie. But she's talking shit to this guy, and she's like, man, I can't fucking like can't believe this, like can't count on this guy for anything. And she turns around to yell at him again, and then the alien's just like right in her face.
Yeah,
it's just such a good moment.
The xenomorph kamikaze pilot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Xenomorph hijacker.
It's great. So shout out Colette Hiller. You really stuck out to me in this movie this time. This lady also has like 3 movie credits. And one of them is this. But to go back to Henriksen, I think he's great in this movie. He does he pulls sort of like a magic trick in this movie that I think the movie kind of the script sort of demands of him, which is like, you as someone who has presumably seen the Ridley Scott Alien, come in with some baggage about this type of character.
Yes,
right?
I have seen the Ridley Scott Alien.
Yes, right. I meant the editorial you.
Okay.
Anyone who has seen the first movie and subsequently seen the second movie comes in with some baggage about androids, right? Because it's like, well, it was a bad guy in the first one, right? And he does a really good job of like kind of holding his cards close to his chest for a lot of this performance and being like, can we trust this guy or not? Is he gonna do the Ian Holm thing where he turns out to be like the bad guy or not? And he keeps you guessing for a lot of it the first time you're watching this movie. And then by the end of the movie, you're like, oh, what that performance was just he doesn't have emotions because he's a robot, right? So he was playing sort of like neutral, and like you are ascribing intention onto the performance, but he's not doing nothing, but he's doing kind of like a neutral thing, right?
He's showing less emotion than like Ian Holm was.
Yeah.
And you sort of buy that maybe that's an upgrade to the androids.
Yes. And I really like Bishop in this movie. Bishop is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, by the end of the movie, if you're not like, yeah, Bishop fucking rules,
Bishop's the best.
I don't want to know you.
Yeah.
But to your
it's also
point,
really cool because he gets the best death in the movie and then doesn't actually die, which is super rad.
Yeah, that's true. To your point, I think Henriksen does a really, really good job playing this character as sort of an enigma. And there's little like you get why Ripley is android racist for this entire movie.
Yeah, because they're fucking weird. They bleed milk. It's
And
gross.
And he gives you some of those weird moments, like when he's studying the facehuggers in the lab,
Yeah.
and someone asks him about it, and he goes, "They're magnificent."
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, I don't like that coming out of an android's mouth. Also, he is rocking the Anton Chigurh fuck ass Bob in this movie.
He really is. Yeah. To the point where that's not even really how I think of his haircut. I'm like, I don't know. He's got kind of like a rascally thing going on.
I don't know. I was looking at it, I was like, he sort of looks like Chigurh.
Yeah.
He's kind of doing a Chigurh thing.
A little bit. Yeah, no, I love Henriksen in this movie.
And I also like seeing him in a role that he doesn't have to play a heavy. He doesn't have to be a big personality.
Yeah.
He can play something that's a little bit more nuanced.
Yeah. I also like his responses to like Bishop's responses to Ripley being like android racist to him, where he kind of just seems like sort of taken aback by it. He's sort of like, oh, okay, like I'm not used to people being prejudiced against me, but I guess you have your own baggage. I'm gonna kind of give you your space, you know? He seems like very like gentle about it, which is like, it's endearing early in the movie. Like you want him to end up not being bad, because in this dining hall scene, you're kind of like, I don't know, he seems kind of like thoughtful, you know? He seems like he's kind of he's a good hang, you know? I also really like when he's doing the knife thing, and he's got like Paxton like in a head, or the other guy has Paxton in a headlock and is holding him there, and he just goes, "Trust me," and I'm like, I don't know, I'd trust him. he seems nice. I don't know.
And then Paxton's losing his mind.
Yeah, you're like, oh god, oh man, so much of this Paxton performance is him being like, oh. Come on, man, oh.
A couple of the other Marines that I want to talk about before we move on.
Yeah,
because we'll talk about Paxton, we'll talk about Michael Biehn.
Yeah.
Mark Ralston, who plays Drake, who's like the tall blonde guy who's buddies with Vasquez.
Is that the guy with the
Jeanette
scar in
Goldstein.
his face?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay.
He's the other smart gunner. He's the other machine gunner.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
He's another like character actor who's shown up in things. But I love the rapport that he has with Vasquez, where they're like, it kind of seems like they're into each other, but they're also just bros.
Yeah, which I think is the situation, because I'm pretty sure Vasquez is not attracted to men. That's just me ascribing that onto that character, but I think the movie also kind of like this character lends itself to that interpretation.
I suppose one could have that interpretation.
I think Vasquez is a lesbian is not like a galaxy brain take. I'm pretty sure.
You heard it here first. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the handshakes that they have, and just the back and forth that they have together, I think Mark Rolston and Jeanette Goldstein do a really good job playing off of each other.
Yeah.
And like when he dies horribly in this movie, you get the sense that Vasquez is really like hurt and shaken up by this.
Yes. Yeah. Which is a great moment. Vasquez also just rocks in general.
Yeah. Well,
Vasquez is probably, of the Space Marines, Vasquez is probably my favorite. I don't think there's another one that I like more than her. I'm kind of like, no, yeah, like I like Paxton, I like Michael Biehn, you know. I love Apone, Sergeant Apone, but at the end of the day, I'm like, if I had to pick one of these Space Marines to watch like an additional like 5 minutes of in this movie, it would be Vasquez, because she's just the absolute best.
I would say Apone, but
yeah, I fucking love Vasquez. I love when she's doing chin ups, and then she starts doing behind the head pull ups. And then fucking, I think it's Drake is like, "Hey Vasquez, you ever been mistaken for?"
No, it's Hicks.
It's Hicks. You're
it's
right.
Hicks, because
right.
then Drake gives her like a fist bump.
That's right. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Hicks is like, "You ever been mistaken for a man?" And she's like, "No, have you?"
Vasquez is such an interesting character, because I think it's fair to say that this movie is about toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you picked up on.
I may have gotten an inkling of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's interesting about Ripley's character is that she is a strong female character whose femininity is a central part of her strength and a central part of her character.
Yeah.
She is not performing masculinity. She is not ascribing to like some of those traditional masculine roles that maybe we would apply to other female action heroes.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, her status as a mother and as a caregiver and as a survivor is like deeply rooted in her femininity, but she's also strong at the end of the day. Whereas on the other end of the spectrum, you have Vasquez, who's there's other like women who are as part of the Marine Corps, but she's the one that we spend the most time with, where she has adopted masculinity and adopted some of the like more toxic masculine traits.
Yeah.
As a woman. And I think that dynamic is really between those two characters is really interesting. Whereas like you said, it's, you know, maybe they're trying to portray her as a lesbian, but she is just also like, she is just kind of one of the guys, and she is just as
hot-headed
and you know,
stubborn
and bullish and infatuated with war and bloodthirsty as the rest of them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons I like the character so much, is because I'm like, it's sort of more interesting coming from Vasquez than it is from any of these guys, right? Just because of that, right? Because of the juxtaposition, it's kind of like, what's this lady's deal? Why is she like so gung-ho about like, let me go in there and fucking shoot shit, you know? Yeah, I don't know.
Also, she's the proto Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I think every Michelle Rodriguez role is just
Michelle Rodriguez can
dollar store Vasquez.
Can basically owes her whole career to this performance. Yeah.
Including her performance in Avatar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, could have just brought Jeanette Goldstein back, Cameron. I don't know what she's doing.
But yeah, I love Vasquez. Vasquez is great. Yeah. I don't know. I like all the stuff where they show up at the space colony and it's basically just wandering through a haunted house for a while. Great, like, just atmosphere here where they're like, there's no signs of any life anywhere. Like, there's no bodies. But there's like holes and shit. And it's like everything's like broken and dilapidated and light fixtures are hanging down and shit. And it does feel like they're very much just like going through like a place where something horrible happened, but every trace of it has just been like disappeared.
Yeah,
you know? And it's very mysterious and scary.
That's one of the things about this movie is I think Cameron just shows so much patience and restraint and thoughtfulness about how he builds tension in this movie. And this, I mean, it's a good, like, they land and we still have a good 10 or 15 minutes before we run into a fucking HR Giger fuck monster.
Yeah.
But moving through these hallways, especially I think when you juxtapose it with the scene at Hadley's Hope before the attack in the special edition.
Yeah.
Atmospherically, I think everything works really well here. I think the set looks great. The tone is really great. The lighting is so good.
Yeah.
This movie isn't as on the nose gorgeous to me as the first Alien is.
Yes, I would agree with that.
But I think some of the shots of them going through the corridors at this point in the movie are some of my favorite to look at.
I agree.
I think it is just like the detail on the props and that beautiful crisp Blu-ray image beefing up some of those textures and those details and Cameron's lighting and stuff here.
Yeah.
That makes some of these images so memorable.
Yeah.
And everything's wet and sweaty and gross.
Everybody's so sweaty in this movie. Especially the fucking Lieutenant Gorman.
Oh, Gorman's very sweaty.
He is the sweatiest dude in the universe.
Welcome back to the show, William Hope.
Yeah.
Seen previously in Hellbound, Hellraiser 2.
That's right.
I was watching Hellraiser 2.
That's
I'm
right.
like, that's fucking Gorman.
I forgot about that.
Gorman met the Xenomorphs, and now he's going to meet Pinhead.
Yeah. I forgot
Actually,
that was him. Lieutenant Gorman in this movie. This is another performance and character that I think is so crucial to this movie. I love that he's like the fucking college boy lieutenant who has, he's been through 38 simulated drops but has only done 2 in real life, and like the whole squad just fucking absolutely like can't stand this guy.
Oh, the palpable disdain that they have for this dude.
It's such a good part of this movie is this dynamic between him and the rest of the squad, right? Where they're all like, oh yeah, just another day in the Corps. We're gonna be shooting a bunch of aliens today, like we always do. And he's like shitting his pants. He's like, I'm gonna see a monster. It's just like, but he's the thing that keeps this performance from being one-dimensional is he's also really trying. He's trying really hard to like do everything right and keep these people alive and do good at his job, right? And it's like the fact that they like none of them have any faith in him whatsoever just adds to his stress, right? Because he's not stupid. Like he's aware that they all fucking hate his guts. And so on top of being like absolutely terrified, he's straight out of the academy, he has no idea what he's doing in the field, he's also aware that everybody else has zero confidence in him, and he's just like, I cannot fuck this up. Like I have to do this right. And then he like immediately fucks it up. Which is it's like his whole shit in this movie I really lock into.
I think some of my favorite scenes from him are the shortly here when the aliens show up and the Marines get their shit kicked in.
Yeah.
And he's trying to relay commands, but he's trying to do things by the book and hasn't realized that the situation wasn't accounted for in the book.
And he has Ripley in his ear giving him good advice, to be fair, but like still he's trying to like issue commands over his little microphone, and she's like, no, do this, and he's like, shut the fuck up. Like I'm about to lose my mind, can you back the fuck off? And it's like Ripley's giving him good advice and he should listen to her. And at the same time, like, I get where this dude is coming from. Being like, I'm sorry, I really can't have you backseat driving me right now. Like, can you back the fuck up, please? Yeah.
Yeah.
By the time that happens, they've already found Newt, right?
Yeah. At that point, they've found the face huggers in the lab.
Oh yeah. I like the one that Burke gets really close to, and then it like goes up against the glass. I just like its like huge gross clit thing that it's like licking the glass with. Just great, H.R. Giger. This thing looks like a gross, weird vaginal monstrosity moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Did that moment make you jump?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think any moment in this movie made me jump this time.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to the first movie, which even though I've seen it a bunch of times, there are still moments in that movie that get me.
The face hugger in the pressing up against the glass in the past has gotten me to jump. I didn't this time. Funny story though. Carrie Henn, who plays Newt, they kept trying to scare her on set, and she never got scared.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the premiere of the movie where she finally she's watching that scene, she jumps at the facehugger jumping at the glass, and then Cameron tapped her on the shoulder and said, we finally scared you. I always think of that. That's very fun.
Yeah.
Yes, but then they find Newt.
Yeah.
And then they realize that the colonists have all gone to the atmosphere processing center because they all have these very convenient trackers on them.
Yes.
James Cameron does a really good job of like establishing stakes in this movie, and he's very good at setting up these perfect little scenarios for his set pieces to play out, where it's like they have to go find all the colonists are in the atmosphere processing center, and they know this because they all have trackers. So they go there, but they're underneath the atmosphere processing center, so they can't use their guns. So,
yes.
Like, it's just like he does a really good. It's one of those things that, like, in the hands of another director, those conveniences could be seen as conveniences.
Yeah.
But he just makes it really, really clear to the audience what the stakes are and what the objectives are at any given point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I like all that stuff too. I also really like the use of the motion trackers throughout the movie, but especially in this portion of the movie. It's such a good, the sound design specifically
Yeah.
is so good because it's like you just hear the like little motion tracker click over and over and over again, and at points it like speeds up and gets louder and stuff, and it's like it's so good at just ratcheting up the tension in this whole sequence. Like anytime you can hear those things, you're like on the edge of your seat, like what the fuck is about to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, the combination of like the beep of the motion tracker and the click underneath it,
Yeah.
it does the job that the score could do,
Yeah.
but does such a good job ratcheting up the tension, and like as it gets closer, it's just very clear. It's like, oh, there's aliens that are getting closer.
Yeah. And at points it's like at points I think maybe at some point early in the movie, but definitely later in the movie, you get the motion tracker click and then the heartbeat, the racing heart rate like overtakes it in the sound, and like that moment is just so like it's just such good sound design. Yeah, it's great.
So they get to the atmosphere processing center and find that the colonists have been cocooned.
Yeah.
There's tons of alien goop all over the walls.
They call it resin, which I think is like somehow even more disgusting, that they secrete this thing that's goo and then it like hardens. Like it's like it reminds me of like boogers. It's really gross.
It's another one of those things that they don't really go into detail in the other movies about how it's made or what's making it.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, if you've ever fucking played a Metroid game, this is where that comes from.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
it's yeah, there's aliens and there's fucking they turn the walls into goop.
It does, yeah. It does seem a little bit like James Cameron saw some spidery aspects of the xenomorph design from the first movie and just ran with that. He was just like, okay, so they kind of do spider stuff, right? They kind of make webs and
yeah, some of the like the shit hanging off the cocoons are kind of like webs and stuff.
Then when we get to the alien queen, her design is very arachnid, like very spidery, right? And I'm like, I kind of feel like he was just like, oh yeah, spider stuff, right? You know, and it works. It works really well. I love that the further they get into the like atmosphere processing center, the like less recognizably human it is, because the walls just turn into alien architecture. It's great shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they find one of the ladies cocooned and stuck to the wall, has a face hugger in her. This has made me jump before. Them lifting her head up and her eyes opening and the very big dramatic
That's a lady?
musical.
I thought that was a dude. It doesn't matter, but they're mostly part of the wall.
Yes, they have short hair and they are mostly wall at this point.
Yeah.
And then the fucking the chest. I may say face hugger, but
Yeah,
the chest burster does the chest bursting.
We
thing.
get a chest burster, and James Cameron's like, we're going to do this chest burster Cameron style, so it's basically the thing from the first movie, and then we light it on fire. All the flamethrower stuff in this movie is so cool. And they just, like, actually have flamethrowers.
Yeah, they're just burning burning shit in this movie.
And it's great. Like, it's all so fucking cool.
I mean, the flamethrowers are such a good way to demonstrate the themes in this movie really succinctly, as, like, the chaos and the horrors of war and the horrors of Vietnam, where like everything in this opening opening encounter with the xenomorphs just goes so bad so quickly.
Yeah.
And it's not one thing that goes wrong. It's like a subsequent like a Rube Goldberg machine of things that go wrong.
One of my favorite examples of that is like when the first xenomorph shows up, like the first full-grown xenomorph shows up like a little bit after this first chest burster moment. It grabs one of the fucking members of the squad And as it is like carrying her away, she's shooting her flamethrower in panic, and it lights another dude from the squad on fire, who then falls multiple stories down like a stairwell and just dies on impact. It's like such a great moment where it's like, that xenomorph, all it had to do is grab a person and 2 people are dead. And just because like everybody was like so like high strung and tense, and like the thing breaking the tension just causes like chaos to break loose. It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, and Cameron doesn't hold off on the xenomorphs the way that Ridley does. He shows them to you right away, but I love the way that he introduces
And by
them.
right away, you mean an hour and 15 minutes into the movie.
Right. But I mean, like, once the xenomorphs are in the picture,
they're in it. Yeah,
they're in it. We're not hiding what they look like.
Yeah.
But the way that they're like all like in this hive or whatever, in this room that they have covered with goop, they're all sort of like dormant, and then the chest burster sort of wakes them up.
Yeah.
And you just see them, the walls just start moving as
Right.
these things come to life.
Right, because like the alien architecture all around was just a bunch of them. You know, like their bodies are all like curled up and shit.
Yeah.
Which is like, he's also playing with shit from the first movie, because that's always the thing in the first movie, is it's like the alien looks like the ship in that first movie. And so it's like hidden in plain sight. And he does that here, but like times 1,000. And it's a fun moment when they all start unfurling. It's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think this shit goes tits up.
Yeah.
I
I like that you mostly see this through the cameras.
I was gonna ask
the
how
heads
you
up cameras.
because
Yeah.
like there's something about seeing that CRT footage
Yeah.
in a crisp Blu-ray, and seeing it through all the like through the cameras of the guys.
Yeah.
I think it's all really effective. I think it's like seeing that mixed with their life support or their heart rate monitors.
Yeah.
All flatlining
Yeah.
as their like footage cuts out.
Yeah.
It's such an effective.
I think it's totally effective. I think it's a great way to handle that sequence. And like, you get plenty of fucking like aliens being blown away later in the movie. So it's like, you kind of don't need that action sequence to not mostly be in the CRT footage for this part of the movie. It works. It works as like a horror sequence, right? Which I think it helps kind of establish the threat, right? It works really well, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the threat in this movie, it is not a gripe I have with this movie. It's just always an interesting choice that in the first movie, they make it seem like one of these things is completely invincible. Like it seems in the first movie, they talk about the alien like it's like it cannot be killed and there is nothing you can do to stop it. And then in this movie, like pretty much as soon as they show up, you see them dying. And it's like, oh, okay, so like the whole thing about like you can't kill it was just sort of the situation that those miners on the ship were on. But guys with guns actually, it turns out, can kill a lot of them. It's not a complaint I have with the movie. It's just an interesting way that Cameron was like, no, yeah, we're just going to ignore the thing about how this is basically like an invincible, unstoppable force of nature. You know, we'll kill as many of them as we want, you know?
Right. Well, and like, I think the Lovecraftian elements of that first one have only become more clear as the years have gone on.
Right.
And that probably wasn't something in his, like that they were thinking about at the time.
Right.
And I think that's fair. I don't think it demystifies or diminishes the impact of the xenomorph in that first movie.
Yeah, me either.
Also because like, as much as this is a sequel, I'm also not thinking about the first movie while I'm watching it.
Right.
I can sort of treat that as its own separate thing.
Yeah.
As much as I like both of these movies and I end up watching them both at the same, normally in the same night or the same couple of nights. I think his interpretation of treating them as worker ants is equally as interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
But if it's one of those things that now has become so like permeated pop culture so much that so many of the alien ripoffs have treated their alien creatures in a similar way. So many of the video games and the other movies in the Alien franchise treat them as just like a faceless, mindless horde these predators.
Yeah.
And it's not really until like a game like Alien Isolation comes along where we're going back to that first movie and treating the alien as like an unstoppable killing machine.
Yeah.
So I don't mind that a bunch of them get blasted apart, because they're still like a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
And like the thing with comparing this to like Predator, Predator is definitely playing up the action tropes in a much more exaggerated way, where you can sort of watch it as an action movie and get that like rah men with big muscles and guns.
Yeah.
This doesn't. Like, at every point, the Marines are on the back foot. They're retreating, they're escaping, they're defending, and the aliens keep coming in, and they're very vulnerable in this movie.
Yeah.
And all of their bravado, which is mostly represented in Bill Paxton, who we've been dancing around this entire time.
Yeah.
Immediately goes away when the aliens show up.
Yes, right. So this is the thing with Hudson, Bill Paxton's character, where he's like the most like tough guy talk at the beginning of the movie, and then like as soon as this scene happens, for the rest of the movie he's like, oh my god. His voice just raises like 3 octaves as soon as he sees one of the aliens, and it never comes back down. And the rest of the movie he's basically just pissing his pants until he gets dragged to hell. This is such a good performance. Like, I love so many performances in this movie, but like Paxton, like I feel like this one people really sing the praises of a lot anyway, as opposed to the helicopter or the dropship pilot lady. But it is worth repeating that Bill Paxton fucking owns in this movie.
Yeah, I don't know if this is my favorite performance from him, but this is one that feels so unlike everything else that he's done. Like,
yeah.
He's just a big old swinging dick in this movie, and then as soon as things go wrong, he's whimpering and crying.
He's a little bitch baby,
shitting his pants.
It's awesome.
And at the end of the day, he's still likable, which is wild.
Yeah, you like it. You're like, oh man, like when he gets dragged to hell by xenomorphs, you're kind of like, oh fuck, like I really liked Hudson. I was hoping he'd make it. I love his tiny little soul patch is it's so gross and so good. It's just like this disgusting little like sprinkling of hairs below his lower lip, just letting you know that this guy is a scumbag who eats alien pussy.
There's a scene with him that they cut out from the theatrical cut.
Yeah,
when they're the APC is they're getting ready in the APC to go down the dropship, where he's like showing off to Ripley because he also wants to fuck Ripley, where he's like, don't worry, Ripley, me and my squad of ultimate badasses will protect you.
Yeah.
We've got laser guided smart missiles, we've got sonic electronic ball breakers. And not only is that just a very fucking funny scene.
Yeah.
It's one of those key scenes that plays into the military industrial complex theme of the film, and the Vietnam theme of this film, which is like this technologically superior military force. All of their arms technology and all of their might is like basically for naught.
Yeah.
And they all just get fucking killed and die.
Yes. It's
they get killed and they die.
They get killed and died.
That was a very that's what I just said. A very insightful comment I made.
Yeah, no, I like all that stuff too. I like that it's basically like, well, yeah, like all of the tech and resources and whatever in the world is not a match for like is no match for people throwing you into a meat grinder who like don't care whether you live or die, which is like the situation they're in. Right? They're as dispensable as the miners in the first movie, right? Just because they're like elite soldiers doesn't mean that like Weyland Yutani gives any more of a shit about what happens to them in the end. You know, they're just more bodies. You know.
Yeah, and it's the Vietnam thing where they're shipped off to the other side of the galaxy.
Yeah.
For a fight that they have no stake in.
Mm-hmm.
Just at the whims of corporate and political overlords.
Yeah, I like that they have the American flag on their uniform. because even though this is like a futuristic world, it lets you know, like, no, these are Americans. You know, it feels very pointed with the whole Vietnam thing.
Yeah.
That like they have like the flag insignia on their uniforms, because it's like, no, this is not like United Federation of Planets or whatever. This is the United States of America, motherfucker. Like, yeah. And so around here is when Ripley takes control of the APC to drive it to rescue them.
Yeah.
And I do really like that moment. The thing that I like the most is Lieutenant Gorman getting knocked over while she's driving the APC and getting a concussion. It's so sad and pathetic, because he has been like trying his hardest to like maintain control of this situation, and then like the lady who was backseat driving him literally gets in the driver's seat and starts driving the tank, and he's like, no, stop that, and then he just gets knocked over and some shit bonks him on the head. And he's out. And I'm like, man, you really never stood a chance. Like, you should not be. You're in the wrong line of work, my man.
And he's knocked out for like most of the rest of the movie.
When they're carrying him back to like the dropship on a stretcher is so funny to me, because like all of the people who just like literally faced an army of monsters are walking on their own 2 feet, and this fucking asshole who fell down in a car is the one on a stretcher. It's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So Hicks, Hudson, and Vasquez make it back to the APC.
Yeah.
I love when Hicks shoots that xenomorph in the mouth with a shotgun.
Yeah.
And the ass still burns Hudson.
Yep.
It's really rad as shit. And then Ripley runs over a xenomorph at one point driving the APC.
He has a cool one-liner there. He says like, eat this.
Yeah, he says eat this.
Yeah. It's great. Yeah. Great moment. I love when the xenomorphs just stick their head in something in this movie. It happens a few times when like someone you think you just got away, and then one of them just pops up and is like, "What's up?" They are a little bit like little pranksters in this movie, like the one that is on the dropship here, right around here, right? Because they escape in the APC.
Yeah.
And then the dropship's coming to pick them up. And yeah, one of them just snuck onto the dropship, and the dropship pilot is talking to fucking like Smegma or whatever this guy's name is.
Smegma?
No, he's got like, I don't even remember. See, now you're making me go back to the IMDb, because I am trying my hardest to figure out why I thought this guy's name was so funny.
Spunkmeyer.
Spunkmeyer!
Yes!
Yeah, no, so... yes, and she's like, Spunkmeyer, get your ass up here. I can never count on Spunkmeyer for anything. And then he's like immediately killed. And then yeah, like it just like sneaks up behind her and is like, guess who? It's playing a little prank. And then it suicide bombs the dropship into the ground. Yeah.
Was getting caught part of your master plan? No, crashing this plane.
Yes.
I love that. And the
it will be extremely painful for you. Sorry. Now I'm just quoting Biehn. I love it when he says that though.
Yeah, it's super funny.
It's a funny moment of that movie.
Yeah.
For you. Yeah, and the dropship explosion is really good.
Yeah.
A lot of good explosions in this movie. I mean, it's a James Cameron picture, so we're blowing tons of shit up. But the dropship explosion is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
It feels so like you feel it in a big way. And like the characters are like shaken by it, like everybody's making sure they're intact afterwards. And it's like, no, yeah, like shit fucking blew the hell up.
And it's a rear projection shot.
Yeah.
That doesn't look great. Like it's one of the shots in this movie that I think this movie is very good at just like the effects have not aged. The mostly the miniature work in this movie and the optical effects that they're doing and all that shit just still looks gorgeous. But the rear projection shot of the dropship blowing up, I'm like, that is just a bunch of actors on a soundstage.
Yeah.
But still, I think it ends up feeling visceral and intense and scary, even though that effect has been pretty dated with like the performance of the actors.
Yeah.
And the way and it still looks pretty good for what it is.
Yeah. Some of the shots of the dropships flying is what has aged the worst for me.
Yeah.
Where it's just like sometimes it does look a little bit like, okay, I can tell that we composited like a miniature into a rear projection or whatever. Like I can tell like it's like
Right.
that I'm looking at two different things that have been stitched together,
But he does a really good job of editing around that stuff. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the janky stuff, anything that looks janky in this movie is on screen for half of a second.
Yeah. There's even a shot late in the movie where it's like it's Bishop and Ripley and I think also Hicks. And the shot looks like it's out of focus, but it's on screen for so short a time that I couldn't even tell if it was out of focus or if it was just like the Hulu stream was like not whatever, So like to your point, like anything that looks janky, it's like he knows how to be like, okay, we'll give you enough that you understand what's happening, and then we'll cut away from it to something that looks better.
Yeah.
This
is where we get Hicks going, or Hudson going, game over, man, game over.
It's just such a good line delivery.
I also like Burke's line, which seems a little out of character, where he's like, well, what if we build a fire and sing a couple of songs?
He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
He's just having some fun. He knows he's gonna be fine. They're coming back for him.
Right? One would think.
Yeah. But so they're basically like, well, we're fucked now. Our plan was to nuke this shit from orbit. But which I do like that moment, by the way, when they're talking about like after everybody has died.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what should we do? And Ripley's like, we should nuke the whole site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. And Michael Biehn is like now the next in command. And he's like, he takes a second and then he's like, I feel like what's been going wrong so far is we haven't been listening to this lady.
That's why he lives through the movie.
Yes.
That's why he survives, is because he listens to Ripley.
Yeah.
And
you really see him play that in that scene where he's kind of like, okay, nobody has been taking her seriously and we're here. Maybe someone should try that. Like you really see it on his face.
Yeah.
I like it.
And some of the Ripley and Hicks stuff is what is cut.
Yeah.
In the theatrical cut. And there's so many moments that I think are really, really key to this. Even when they're first going into the investigate the colony, and she's visibly like scared and a little shaken and nervous. He stops to ask how she's doing, and like hasn't really had a lot of dialogue so far in the movie.
Yeah.
Like it sets up their relationship perfectly. The climax of their relationship is completely absent from the theatrical cut.
Yeah.
Which is them telling each other their first names.
Yes.
And that's as close as they get to like making out and fucking in this movie.
I will say I didn't miss much of the special edition scenes watching the theatrical cut. There wasn't much where I was like, oh, that scene's missing. That's a bummer. For me, the stuff that I missed was the stuff with Hicks and Ripley. Like basically I just missed more Michael Biehn in the movie, because it's like he's so great in this movie, and his character in the theatrical cut, you still do get his relationship with Ripley. You get kind of them forming a bond, and then there is some like chemistry and like tension there. And it's all the pieces are kind of still there, but they're like not as in focus as they are in the special edition, and that is something that I was a little bit sad that I was missing watching it this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff I think is really, really key to their relationship, and it's one of the things that I find so compelling about this movie is that by the end we have this little weird family unit of a woman struggling with PTSD and her army boyfriend and their orphan child and their android friend,
robot friend. Yeah.
but we never really we never consummate any sort of romantic relationship.
Yeah, because that's not what the movie's
hint at
about.
it.
Yeah.
It's all played out really well.
I like it too. Yeah. Yeah. we haven't really talked about Newt very much, and there's Newt that has happened and Newt that will continue to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so give me your take on Newt. You said you won't tolerate any Newt slander.
I fucking love Newt,
I know,
dude.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Newt's so good.
Yeah.
I think Carrie Henn had not acted before this movie.
Yeah.
She has not acted much since.
Yeah.
But I think she plays this character so well. She has such a good on-screen chemistry with the rest of the cast, but especially Sigourney, who she has to spend a lot of time with in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the character that she's given is just really, really interesting and such a great departure from the type of precocious child role that this very easily could have been.
Yes.
And that I think...
And that James Cameron would do in a few years with one Edward Furlong in Terminator 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of her, just like when she does she has the helmet on and she does the salute.
Yeah.
The affirmative. She's so cool, man. She's just like the fucking best.
Yeah.
And she can scream, and she can also scream her fucking head off. And that scream is, I know you're going to complain about it.
Yes.
That scream is so powerful and piercing, and I think adds to the tension and the horror of this movie in a positive way.
I would agree if there was 40% less of it. I think everything you're saying is true about how her screams are deployed in this movie, especially when the moment when Ripley finds the tracker watch and it's not on her and thinks like, oh no, like now I don't know where to find her. And then the face hugger comes out of the egg and she starts screaming. That is a great deployment of that very good screaming performance from this child that I don't think the movie should have lost, right? I do think in some of the action sequences, when she's screaming her head off for what feels like minutes on end, at a certain point, I'm like, enough.
I think you're exaggerating.
Enough.
I don't think it's that bad. Because I remember it being that bad. Like, I remember in some of the recent watches I've had of this movie being like, all right, I'm going to get ready for a lot of Newt screaming.
Yeah.
And there's not, like... there's a decent amount of Newt screaming, but I don't think it ever boils over into being excessive. I think it's always the right amount. It's what each scene needs, and Newt's great, and fuck you.
It's not Ridley Scott. I will give you that. However, I could have done with a little less of it. I'm glad this screaming child.
Oh my god, a xenomorph!
But I'm glad.
Indy!
Ripley! Yeah. I'm glad it works for you.
Ew, it's got a mouth inside of its mouth.
Oh, no.
An acid for blood.
No.
Jesus Christ.
Look at her big egg tube, Andy.
It's a little scary how quickly both of us pulled Ridley Scott out of our asses.
Why is its head all long? It looks like a big old penis, Andy. Yeah. No, yeah. Like, here's the thing. Here's my thing with Newt. Newt, good movie kid. This child actress whose name you know and I don't. Good child actress, right?
Maybe not the best movie kid. I will say that,
sure.
but I think
Yes.
she's very good.
Good movie kid. We've talked about how sometimes child performances in movies annoy us. This performance doesn't annoy me. I think what she's doing is good. And I think when the movie lets her be kind of this quiet, traumatized, broken child, all of that stuff, I'm like, oh, this really works. I love haunted Newt. She's so good at that stuff. And I like really compels me. And then like the more she stops being haunted and starts being like a scared kid that Sigourney Weaver has to protect, the less I kind of like the character. I'm like, I kind of liked it more when she was like more interiority and less like, save me, mommy, you know? And then she goes into save me, mommy mode at the end of the movie, which I understand is necessary for Ripley's arc. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, I don't know. Like, I liked the kid more when she seemed like she had seen some shit that had granted her wisdom beyond her years, you know? And now it's like, okay, now she's just like kind of a screaming child, right? And I understand the narrative utility of it. I'm just not as interested in that part of the performance as I am the other stuff that comes earlier. So I kind of, for me, the whole Newt thing is like front loaded with all the best stuff. And the longer the movie goes on, the less interested I am with Newt being there, you know? All that being said, I think it's a good performance and I think it's a good kid.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a fair point. I think towards the end she becomes a bit of a plot motivator,
Right.
more than a character. But I think the performance throughout the movie is very good. I think the conclusion of their arc together is really, really well done. And yeah, I just think she's fucking cool.
That's fine.
I like. I think this was cut out from the theatrical cut, but there's a scene where she and Ripley are talking, and she's asking Ripley about her daughter and like bad dreams. And then Ripley, she has this little doll head that she's carrying around, and Ripley's like, "See, look in there. Casey doesn't have any bad dreams," and she's like, "Yeah, because Casey's a fucking doll, Ripley."
Yeah.
Like, and it's really cool that she's able to be smart and capable and talented, and you kind of buy that she's been able to survive this long without being a fucking annoying movie kid.
Yeah, I like all that shit too. I really like the moment where after the dropship crashes and they're like, well, when's rescue coming? And Burke's like, well, probably 17 weeks, right? And they're like, well, how are we going to survive? I think Paxton is like, well, how are we going to survive that long? And Ripley's like, well, this little girl fucking has been surviving longer than that, and she has no military training. Like, if she can do it, we can do it. Yeah. The only other thing that I have to say about Newt is that when I told High Priestess Pod what the movie was for this week, I said Aliens, and she said, is that the one with Frog? And I said, what? And she said, Lizard, Salamander, and I said, Newt? and she said, yes. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, she screams too much. So High Priestess Pod's take on the film Aliens, directed by James Cameron, is Salamander screams too much.
What I remember the last time we watched this, which was immediately after we recorded the last time we watched this, the first time we've watched this together, because this is the first time you saw it.
Right.
But it was immediately after we recorded the Alien episode, and I was like, I really want to fucking watch Aliens. Like, either I'm staying at your house and watching Aliens, or I'm going home and watching Aliens.
Yeah.
She was in her office working because she does more important things than either of us.
Yeah.
And every 30 minutes or so, she would come out and be like, what the fuck are you guys watching? This movie sounds so annoying. Which is fair, because this is very much not her type of movie.
Yeah.
But I think the combination of the screaming and
screaming
the gunfire
child and a bunch of gunfire is very much not her vibe. Yeah. So they then make the plan for how they're gonna get off this rock, right? They're gonna send in Bishop through the through the tunnels. I love when Lance Henriksen is fucking diehard crawling through these tunnels. It's so good.
I think you mean aliens crawling through
You're right,
these
because
tunnels.
this is pre-Die Hard. You're right.
And if you've ever crawled through some vents in a video game,
Yeah.
aliens, baby.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think I don't think I'm crazy. I think this is like everything. If you like video games and you're interested in how video games have developed over the years, like Aliens is the inception point for so many game trends that we just take for granted.
I think the listeners agree with you. You can put your pegboard and red string away.
Okay. I can put the soapbox away for now.
No, I just like the idea that you have like a pegboard where it's like aliens and then there's like a red string connecting it to Dead Space, which connects to fucking, I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't even said Dead Space yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, obviously.
Obviously does.
Yeah. But yeah. I like when they weld it shut behind him too, because they're like, well, he's a synthetic person. He doesn't need to breathe, and also he'll figure it out.
Yeah, Vasquez hands him a gun, and he's like,
Yeah.
I'll give it back to you guys. I don't need this.
I love that. I love that moment. That's one of my favorite Lance Henriksen moments in this movie is like Vasquez handing him the gun and him just he barely even acknowledges it. He just takes it and hands it to Ripley. Because he's like, I don't need this shit. And Ripley, like, it seems to be expecting that because she, like, takes it from him immediately. Like, yeah, of course the synthetic's not going to take the fucking gun. What are you, stupid? Like, yeah, it's great.
I do like occasionally we check back in with Bishop, and it's just another 15-second shot of Bishop crawling through this pipe.
Yeah.
With his this fisheye lens shot of his forehead.
Yes. Yep. Just on his way to rig shit to explode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as he's doing that, we get the other. I mean, so this part of the movie for me, not in a bad way. All of the action here sometimes blends together when I think about it after the fact.
Me too.
And I'm like, in what order do things happen?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of character stuff here.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of action. It's just a lot of like spending time with this small group of characters that have survived this.
Yeah.
So there's stuff here where they're talking to Newt and trying to learn more about Newt. A lot of Hudson screaming. We get more Hicks and Ripley with the pulse rifle.
Oh yeah.
And my take on that is sometimes a sex scene is a guy showing a lady how to operate a pulse rifle.
Yes, which I think is also not in the theatrical cut. Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't in your cut?
I think. And now I'm having a hard time remembering.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I mean, it's such a. I think that scene is such a one of the great moments of the relationship where he's just showing her how the gun works, and she's like taking to it and like really actually wants to learn how to use it.
Yeah.
Of course, there's the story that Sigourney Weaver at the time was very anti-gun.
Yeah.
And had a lot of difficulties with all the guns being on set and using guns. And then the documentary cuts to Bill Paxton and Michael Biehn, and they're both like, I love shooting guns. I grew up shooting guns.
Yeah. But it works. It works in service of the character dynamics in the movie. That's how they actually felt.
Yeah. And they also sent in the special edition. They set up sentry guns.
Yeah.
To block the entrances. And I also, it's weird how much I love the sentry guns and how much I would potentially miss them in the theatrical cut. Because initially it seems like this really, really easy Band-Aid, and then you just watch those ammo counters tick down.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, yeah, now they're completely out of ammo and they're fucked.
Yeah. I did miss that scene as well, because I think the sentry gun scene is like one of the best like tense moments where you don't really see anything. Like you don't see the sentry guns shooting the aliens mostly. You mostly just see the characters reacting to the data that they're seeing.
You see the guns shoot, but as far as aliens, there's like 1 or 2 shots of an alien getting blown apart by a sentry gun.
Yeah.
And they're very, very brief. You said this was a movie about guns.
That was mostly facetious, but
okay.
Yeah. Like, I don't actually think the movie is about guns. Guns just feature so prominently in the movie that, you could be like, this is a movie where guns have more screen time than any individual actor, right? But I think what that is actually in service to is like the thematic stuff about like the military-industrial complex that we've been talking about. I don't think it's actually a movie about guns.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you had more to say on that, but
No,
I mean, I think it is in service of the military-industrial complex theming.
Yeah, me too.
And I also think they also just happen to make really cool guns for this movie.
Right.
Like the pulse rifle is a combination of a World War II Thompson with a SPAS 12 shotgun on the bottom that they converted into a grenade launcher and stuck shit on. The smart gun is an MG42 stuck onto a Steadicam arm with motorcycle parts stuck to it.
I love how those things look. The Steadicam arm is so cool.
Yeah. I also love that like Hicks is carrying around an Ithaca shotgun, which is just complete. Like it's not even. They don't even try to make it futuristic.
Yeah.
Gorman and some of the other characters have a H&K pistol that looks futuristic, but at the time had actually been discontinued.
Yeah.
I think the guns are very iconic in this movie, along with everything else. But like, the designs just stick out to me as particularly like well thought out and well planned.
Yeah, totally.
I love the guns. As someone who has spent time
on gun YouTube, as we've talked about, yes,
I appreciate the guns much more, and the sound design too. Like I think the sound design for the pulse rifle, that chatter, that like buzzsaw sound that it has, is so effective. It's just great sound design.
Completely agree. Yeah, like
as much as your wife dislikes it,
right?
It's really good sound design.
It was more the kids screaming than the gunfire, to be fair. She watches a lot of movies with a lot of gunfire in them and is fine with it. It's mostly the sounds of children existing that she has a problem with.
Yeah, so there's a lot of downtime in this part of the movie, and things are a little bit out of order.
Ripley and Nuke get attacked by a facehugger at one point.
They take a nap and they get attacked by a facehugger.
Yeah. That moment made me jump the first time I watched the movie. Not this time, though, because I knew it was coming.
You knew it was coming?
Yeah.
The facehugger scene is really good.
It is good. It's a very, very good scene of this movie.
And I think the creature effects are really, really done.
Yeah.
Really, really well done, too. There's a lot of there's like a pull toy facehugger that they built for it to walk. There's like floppy ones that they use.
Yeah.
The shot of it leaping onto like a chair leg and then at the camera is like 3 different shots all constructed to form one seamless thing.
That's cool.
And it's just that James Cameron magic where he's using all of these really innovative and, tried and true methods of filmmaking, and it just blends together completely seamlessly.
Yeah. While we're talking about the facehugger effects, the shot where it climbs out of the egg at the end when Newt's all wrapped up in like the resin web is so scary. It's like it's like little finger legs just like very slowly emerge out of the egg and kind of grab onto the edge of it, and it pulls itself up. And then she starts screaming, and it's like, no, yeah, that would be my reaction to it. I would scream my fucking ass off because that's the scariest thing I've ever seen. The facehuggers look great in this movie.
Yeah.
I kind of wish we got more chest burster. We kind of only get the one chest burster. From the person on the wall. We get a bunch of facehugger in this movie. We get a lot of full-grown xenomorph in this movie, but just the one chest burster. And it's interesting that of all of the things that he chose to do like more of from the first movie, the chest burster is like, it feels like the thing that he actually like toned down a little bit. He was like, no, it's not even gonna get all the way out of the chest cavity. I don't miss it necessarily. I'm just kind of like, yeah, it'd be interesting if like there was more to do with those guys.
I mean, truthfully, I don't think there is like any of the Alien movies do the chest burster scene as well as the first one.
Yeah. I mean, it's like such an iconic moment.
Obviously. There is like the puppet that they built has like arms on it, which there were arms sort of molded into the puppet in the first one, but you don't really see them do anything.
Yeah. I do like that they flail around when it gets lit on fire.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun. And I sort of don't need more chest burster. I think that's part of it is like, okay, they did the chest burster in the first one.
Right.
It's so powerful and iconic. We don't want to recreate it too much. We have to acknowledge that it's there, so we'll do it again.
Yeah.
And it'll introduce this sequence.
I don't know.
But
I think it
don't
would be
think
fun
we
if
need
there
more
were
chest
like
bursting.
a bunch of them running around at some point or some shit. Like the little mouse droid guys in Star Wars. They're just like running between people's legs, being like.
I think those are the facehuggers, technically.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
you're right.
I like Newt. There's one of the facehuggers climbs out from behind a table and she shoves it against the wall with the tail.
Yeah,
I'm like, fuck yeah, Newt.
Yeah.
And then Hudson's like, get out of the way, kid, and then blows it away with the pulse rifle. Going back to the guns thing, this movie kind of does something similar to Starship Troopers, where the weapons are very technically proficient and sometimes shown to be effective, but it's also like the way that the actors are using them, where they're like shooting from the hip and shooting in these very like big bravado, aggressive ways, and then dying horribly. Like Hudson, when Hudson gets dragged down to hell, as you said.
Yeah.
he's just shooting randomly and yelling and trying to be a badass.
Yeah.
And if you watch Starship Troopers, everyone who does that in Starship Troopers immediately gets fucking killed by the arachnids.
Yeah.
And it's also like, yeah, they have to empty. He fucking empties a clip to shoot one face hugger in this movie.
Yeah, right.
And the same thing happens when they're shooting the aliens. Like they're pumping all these bullets into the aliens, and still it's doing nothing basically.
Yeah. You do see a lot of aliens getting blasted apart in this movie, though, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
I like that you see like lots of like goo and shit,
Mhm.
and they're like limbs flying off and shit. Like they die very spectacularly. The one that gets run over by the APC is the best one.
Yeah, that's the best one for sure.
Because Ripley like runs like backs over its head and it just like fucking explodes. It's so good. Yeah.
But she knows that Burke put the face huggers
Yes.
into the chamber.
Right. This is where we get the confrontation with Burke, which we've sort of started getting those vibes from him.
Yeah.
Like when he enters the movie, you're kind of like, oh, he's a corporate scumbag. And then you're like, maybe this guy's actually good people. But then that doesn't really last very long. And you kind of start to get inklings. And so by the time Ripley arrives at this conclusion, you're like, okay, yeah, of course. Right.
Yeah. And Ripley's confronted him about like, I looked in the records.
Yeah.
You sent them to that grid reference point.
Yeah.
And I love the way Paul Reiser plays this, where he's still just like, hey, I'm just a guy that was told to do a job. And I love the way he goes,
yeah.
And then it was a bad call, Ripley. It was a bad call. And it's just like, he's such a slimy scumbag.
He's so good.
He's so good in this movie.
It's the magic that he pulls off is it's like he's playing the most punchable character of all time.
Oh, extremely punchable.
But somehow I would feel bad hitting him. You know? Like somehow that's what he's pulling off. Is like this guy fucking absolutely sucks. And at the same time I'm like, you know, he is just a little guy though. Like I don't know. But I love that scene between the two of them. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah. So Ripley rats out Burke, and they all confront him, and she basically lays out that his plan from the beginning was to impregnate her and Newt and bring them back to the company, and then tamper with the cryopods on the Marines so that no one would be able to, corroborate the story.
Yes. Once again, crew is expendable.
Crew's expendable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And from here, basically, immediately the aliens cut the power.
Yeah.
And we're on the defense again.
Yes. So the aliens attack here, and it is funny that like Burke is like he has his sort of villain turn, right? Where this whole plot is revealed. And then, like, almost immediately when the aliens attack, first of all, I love him immediately just hoofing it. He's like, I'm out of here. And then he shuts the door. And Ripley's like, hey, what the fuck, man? Like, and she's pounding on the door being like, Burke, open the door, you bastard. And he's just like, whew, really glad I got out of there. And then he just, like, backs into another door that opens. And it's another one of these xenomorphs playing a little prank. And the door opens and he's just like, guess who?
Hello.
Once again.
Yeah, it's another close up of a xenomorph's mouth opening.
Yeah.
And and well, this is like probably the most effective use of the motion tracker in the movie.
Yeah.
Because the build up to them discovering that the aliens have crawled in through the ceiling,
and that shot,
which is still so good,
and the shot of all of them crawling in the ceiling is so iconic. It's like if you think of an image from the film Aliens, it's probably that shot, or I guess Sigourney in the power loader, but it's like one of the most like instantly recognizable things in this movie, and when you see it in the context of the film, it's like, oh yeah, no, this is like one of the best reveal shots that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and the lighting in the scene is great because
it's
the red of the power being
like emergency lighting, yeah,
and then like the blue of the headlamps that they have, and some blue of the machinery and stuff like the electronics and stuff like that. And then of course the muzzle flash of the Thompson in the pulse rifle, which is why they went with the Thompson. They were going to use Uzis or I think MP5s at some point, but Cameron was like, I need the gun that makes a big muzzle flash.
Yeah.
And he picked the right one.
Yep.
And I love these xenomorphs just dropping through the ceiling.
Yeah.
One by one and landing on these guys.
It's great. It's great.
And yeah, we thinned the herd real quickly here.
Yes. Paxton gets dragged to hell. Like we've been talking about. He's like shooting like a maniac. And then, yeah, like a xenomorph, I think one of them grabs him from like the side or whatever, but then another one just busts through the floor and pulls him down, and he just goes down screaming and shooting. It's so good. Bill Paxton's death in this movie is the second best, the best actual death in this movie, probably. The reason I say actual death is because Bishop survives.
Yeah, Bishop is an android and can't die. Yeah. The xenomorph suits in this movie are definitely like a little bit easier for the actors to work with than the one that they made for the first one.
Yes.
But you can tell that their movement is still a little bit limited, and I think Cameron, if there is maybe a critique that you could level at this movie, it's a lot of isolated shots of the Marines shooting, aliens getting blown apart.
Right. Yeah.
There's not a lot of shots where you see, a Marine character and an alien in the same shot, like moving. But there's still some shots that they put in here, like there's a shot of a few of the aliens like climbing over the computers and stuff like that. That's really good.
Yeah.
I just think they maybe hadn't perfected the suit costumes yet.
It also matters so little to me when so much of the power loader alien queen fight at the end is wide shots where you're seeing both of these things moving at the same time.
It's one of those things that I didn't really realize or think about until someone brought it up.
Yeah. It's just like a thing where I'm like, oh yeah, when I watch Aliens, when I'm seeing the xenomorphs getting blown apart, sure, maybe the Space Marines aren't in the shot with them. But then we end with like Sigourney Weaver in a mech and a giant monster fighting, and there's just uninterrupted wide shots of action of that. And that's like one of the most insane things anyone has ever put in a movie.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
We'll call it a wash.
They're escaping through the vents here, and Newt is doing a real bad job leading them around.
Yeah.
She keeps forgetting the way out.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, she's traumatized and like 8.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
that's true.
Maybe don't trust the 8-year-old to take you to safety.
I love Vasquez and Gorman going out together.
It's so, and her just being like, what does she say to him? It's great.
She says, "You're still an asshole, Gorman," or something like that.
Yeah.
Before they blow each other up.
And like, I love him holding her hand that is clutched around that. She has the grenade in her hand, and he like holds her hand with the grenade in it. It's kind of sweet. And it's also, I like Gorman going out with a brave face too.
Yeah.
Just because he's been such like he's been kind of a pathetic little wet blanket of a character for most of it. And then he goes and he's like, no, like I'm a soldier, like I'm doing the thing, And it's like kind of a nice little ending for his arc where it's like, yeah, and he maybe only did 2 drops, but he went out as a hero. So, yeah, I like that moment too. Yeah, they're escaping in like the elevator or whatever, and I love the moment where Michael Biehn gets the acid in his armor, and Sigourney has to take off the armor because he's being burned from inside his armor. That's like such a rad. And then he's basically out of commission for the rest of the movie because he's got fucking acid burns all over him.
Yeah, this movie makes the acid burn the acid really makes the acid burns powerful.
Yeah.
And like it knocks these characters out of commission. Like Hudson really gets burned earlier in the movie, and then it eating through Hicks's armor and stuff. I also love the briefest of pauses that Cameron takes when they get in the elevator and he hits the button and the door doesn't close. And it pauses just long enough for you to know that something is wrong and that was intentional. And then the xenomorph.
Yeah. Like
and then
pops
in as the door's starting to close.
Yep.
Yeah. So Nuke gets taken here.
Yeah.
She falls under this chute. It was a slide that they built, and Carrie Henn started messing up takes so she could just go down the slide.
That's very cute. She just
And
wanted to do the slide more.
And then Jim Cameron was like, Carrie, we really got to get this shot. Please let me finish my movie. I won't yell at you because you're a child, but I've yelled at everyone else on the crew.
Yes, I won't even yell at you if you're my own child. I'll mostly just ignore you. Yeah, she gets snatched by the xenomorphs here.
The shot of the xenomorph rising up out of the water is just so good.
It's
one of
really
those,
one
of that some of that James Cameron magic.
Yeah. And then so I like Sigourney going back for that whole thing. This moment with Ripley's character still does work in the theatrical cut, where she's like, she has an opportunity to escape, but she would have to leave this child, right? And like Hicks and Bishop are both kind of okay with leaving the child. They're both kind of like, well, we got to survive. It's what we got to do. Like, that sucks for Newt. But and she's like, no, absolutely not. Like, you guys wait here. I'm going to do this shit. And it even works in the theatrical cut where you don't get all the stuff about her daughter whose life that she missed and like more of the stuff with her and Newt. There's still enough in the theatrical cut that by the time you get here, you're like, fuck yeah, let's go, Mom.
Yeah, I think I think this movie is just so good that like, even the theatrical cut, you're gonna get 90% of what Cameron wanted.
Yeah.
And I think Sigourney and Carrie Henn just do such a good job building the chemistry between their characters anyway.
Yeah.
But we don't have the scene where Ripley and Hicks tell each other their first names.
True. Yeah.
Which is so good.
It's a wonderful scene.
And it's like, it's one of those things where they don't dwell on it. They don't make a big moment out of it. And because it is so small, it ends up having such a big impact on me as a viewer.
Mm-hmm.
But I love she gets in the dropship. And I love the shot of the dropship flying into the silo or whatever, and there's like lightning and shit going on, and James Horner's like really dialing into like the military march style music.
Yes, yeah. We haven't really talked. We talked about some of the challenges with Horner making the score, but like just the score in general in this movie is so good.
By and large, I think it's a very good score.
Yeah,
I think I might prefer Jerry Goldsmith's score.
Yeah, in the first one. Yeah.
And obviously there are callbacks here.
Yeah.
They they reuse themes really. Horner reuses the themes really well. But I think ever so slightly, I just prefer the Goldsmith score.
Yeah.
But I think Horner does a great fucking job. And you can see why, despite the differences that they had, they wanted to work together again on Titanic, because I think they do just pair really well together.
Yeah. I also really like all of the like lightning and shit. Like, it's just like an evil storm from hell is apparently how this reactor melts down. Is just by turning into fucking a Sith Lord's temple or some shit.
Right. It is basically Darth Vader's castle from fucking Rogue One, I think it is.
Yes, yeah. Where he tells Ben Mendelsohn not to choke on his aspirations.
Yeah.
I do love Ben Mendelsohn in that movie, though. Ben Mendelsohn in that movie kind of giving the evil version of Lance Henriksen's performance in this movie in a weird way.
I guess.
If that guy started bleeding milk, I would be like, that tracks.
Yeah.
Anyway, just Ben Mendelsohn in general, not specifically his character in Rogue One. If I found out that Ben Mendelsohn was a synthetic person, I'd be like, all right.
I'm bleeding milk? Yeah. I don't have a good Mendelsohn.
No, me
I gotta
either.
work on it. Anyway,
but yeah, so I love her when she's going to on her Newt rescue mission. I love her like clearing rooms, and Cameron spends a decent amount of time on Ripley just kind of navigating her way to the alien nest and not encountering anything, but being so ready to, right? Where she's like, she's running in with the flamethrower. She's blasting the flamethrower around the room. Once she knows that it's like a clear and safe path back, she drops the flare. Like, all of that stuff is so good.
Well,
and wordless.
Even before that, he builds up to that so well with Ripley duct taping the flamethrower to the pulse rifle.
Yep. and her putting the flares in her pocket,
and just the ride down the elevator shaft.
Yeah,
like it's not an uninterrupted shot, but we see her ride down that elevator shaft in real time.
Yeah,
and then the door opens, and then it is Ellen Ripley, action hero, fully formed.
Yeah. And also,
to me,
that
is the most iconic shot in this movie.
Yeah.
Or the shot that I respond to the most.
And also, it's interesting because you said it's Ellen Ripley, like, action hero fully formed for the first time, which is true, but simultaneously, and that's the genius alchemy of this movie, like we were talking about, it's also a callback to the first movie when she gets out of that elevator and she's alone in a creepy, abandoned, haunted house of a spaceship environment, right? It's like, that is what the third act of the first movie is. It's her one-on-one with this monster, you know? And it's like, when she gets out of that elevator, she is a new Ellen Ripley who we've never seen before. And also, she's the Ellen Ripley from the end of the first movie who we kind of haven't seen for the rest of this movie. Because we haven't seen her, like, in, like, solo survival mode, which is so much of that first movie.
Right.
Right?
Well, she's not on the defensive. She's not fleeing.
Yeah.
She's not surviving. She is the aggressor.
Yeah.
She is instigating this fight.
Yeah.
And I think everything they do with her character in this movie, coming from PTSD, coming from, like, survivor's guilt, and struggling with the trauma of losing a child that she will never know, and emerging as one of the iconic action heroes of the 80s.
Yeah.
Even if it is just in this little sliver of the end of the movie.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful character work.
It's
I think,
not
like,
that little of a sliver though, because by the time she takes that elevator ride, there's like 40 minutes of the movie left almost. There's like a decent chunk of movie.
I was looking, because I did pause the movie around this point. There's about 20 minutes of movie left.
Oh, okay.
It feels a lot longer than it is, though.
Yeah.
I think he does a really good job. I mean, to me, the third act, and by subsequently the fourth act of Aliens, is the best that anyone has ever done a fourth act, including the first Alien movie.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's why, like, I always catch it on cable. I always catch it at this part, because it is pretty extended, but it is just like, I don't know, it's a really, really great sequence.
Yeah.
And like you said before, I do love the build up to her getting to the nest and clearing these hallways. And then when she finally gets there, she realizes that, she rescues Newt. She realizes she's standing in a field of eggs.
Yep.
And then we get the alien queen revealed to us.
Yes.
And we haven't said the words Stan Winston yet.
Right.
But holy shit, Stan Winston.
Yeah. This is one of the best practical monsters in movie history. Like,
yeah, this puppet is just pure magic.
It's insane. The giant tube thing, which the reveal shot of the alien queen is, not only is this an amazing effect and an amazing creature design executed by a team of masters led by Stan Winston, right? But also the way Cameron fucking films this thing makes it so good.
The smoke and the silhouette.
Yeah, well, and the shot where it is laying an egg, right? Where this proboscis end of this fucking egg tube is like disgustingly fucking gooping out an egg, and it like it contracts. It has like expanded to let the egg out, and then it contracts back, and it's so gross and like so like it looks like an anus. It's so disgusting. And then it's like then the camera pans across the tube, and you're like, how fucking long is this thing? It's translucent. You can see other eggs inside. You can kind of see like veins and stuff. It's so gross. And then it just like keeps going, and it gives you a sense of the scale of this thing. It's like fucking massive. And then like at the end of it, there's like this thing that looks like the other xenomorphs but more. Like it's just so it's like colossal. It has like kind of big spidery legs. Like I was saying, the alien queen feels very spidery to me.
Yeah.
And then she's got like the huge elongated crazy headdress thing.
Yeah, the crest, it sort of
Yeah.
looks like a crown. It makes her seem like a queen.
It also kind of looks insectoid, like it looks like
Yeah.
a beetle, you know? It's just super creative, and the way that they shoot this creature to reveal its design it feels like Cameron giving a ton of appreciation to the creature design itself, right? It feels like he's like, no, we're taking our time showing the audience this because look how fucking cool this is, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And other stuff like the head sort of coming down out of from underneath the crest.
That's also really gross to me for some reason.
Yeah, and then the teeth are, much bigger than like the normal xenomorph teeth, and they're like translucent too, which is really rad.
You know, one of my favorite things about the alien queen, the sound she makes, because the other xenomorphs kind of like have this like rasping growl. The alien queen's kind of like, it sounds like way more like gentle, and like it's like almost not even a growl. She's kind of hissing, and it's like I really fuck with the sound she makes. It's such good sound design, and it matches the character so well. Yeah.
I love the alien queen. I never realized until, I watch the behind the scenes basically every year, but it really clicked with me this time. She's a lot smaller than you think she is.
Yeah.
But they do a great job making her feel huge.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're using it to, like, I don't think it was on their mind as far as like if we're doing forced perspective or anything like that. But it's just like he does a really good job shooting this thing in such a way where it feels a lot bigger than it actually is.
Yeah. Yeah. It does feel enormous, especially in this first scene. And then I love the wordless standoff. And, And you know what's interesting is so this was only my second time with this movie. I remembered falsely, I had a false memory of there being some sort of dialogue in this scene where I thought Ripley said, like, you hurt my baby, I hurt yours, or something like that.
And then the queen said, "Fuck you."
Well, no. It was a one-sided conversation in this false memory I had. I wasn't that off the mark. You better not touch my eggs, you fucking whore. But it's not. There is no there. I remembered it that way because the visual language of this moment that these two characters are having is so clear that in my head I was like, oh, there must have been dialogue, and it's like, no, there's no dialogue. You're remembering it that way because he creates a wordless moment here that speaks as if it has dialogue, and it's just this is maybe my favorite moment of the entire movie is when the alien queen is looking at her and the other like worker ant xenomorphs kind of start closing in. And then she takes the flamethrower, shoots it off not at the eggs so that the alien queen knows what it is, and then points it at an egg. And then the alien queen gets all pissed off, but then the drones start retreating because she's like, okay, like this is a Mexican standoff, like, and I just love how that moment is handled. It's genius.
Yeah, I love the xenomorphs like backing off and like hissing and coming out of the shadows. Like that's really, really great. Yeah. And then I love one of the eggs opens up and a face hugger starts crawling out, and Ripley looks at the queen just like, really, bitch, and then torches it.
Yep. Yeah, and then just starts, and then I love her kind of giving in to the violence of the moment for a second and just being like, I'm gonna kill every single one of these fucking things. And like the flamethrower goes everywhere. She starts shooting the grown-up ones that come and start attacking her and shit. It's like, this is where you get a lot of the like the action hero stuff from her. It's like, it's her with a big gun being like,
and popping off of it. She pops the grenades into like the egg sack.
Yes.
And it like breaks the shell and there's this liquid that sprays out of it. It's
and they
so
explode
gross
inside, and it lights it up from inside because it's translucent. It's so so rad. One of the grossest things I've ever seen in a movie is the alien queen detaching herself from the egg sack thing. That is, every time I see it, I'm like,
That continues to be gross.
It's so gnarly because she's just like peels herself off of it.
I've seen this movie way more than you, and I can assure you that it will still be gross when you've seen it 10 more times.
It's so fucking gnarly. And then now she's free, so she is chasing him, right? And this is where they get in the elevator. And I love this moment too because she presses the button for the elevator's not coming, she's like, this fucking thing, and then she is like, okay, Newt, hold on, we're taking the ladder, and she walks over to the ladder and then sees the alien queen is like catching up, and she's like, oh fuck, and then the elevator gets there. It's just such a great James Cameron, like, we're increasing the tension of the moment. We're stretching the tension of the moment as much as possible. Right.
She makes it up to the landing platform and shit's the silos falling apart.
Yeah.
The whole place is gonna go up.
Also, the dropship has left.
Yeah.
Which she told them to stay there, and so she's like, Bishop, you bastard!
I knew, you fucking android piece of shit. Never should have trusted you. Oh, okay, he's back.
Oh,
cool.
No, wait, never mind. Maybe I shouldn't have said all those android slurs.
You're all right.
You're one of the good ones, Bishop.
And as the queen takes the elevator and comes out, and then just as she's leaving, silly.
I'm a little queasy. I've never taken one of those before. Nobody warned me that it was gonna do that to my tummy.
I do wish we cut back to the queen just sitting in the elevator with like
if we did
music going.
We should have done the elevator ride with the alien queen in real time, like we do with when Ripley's going down. It's like the alien queen's going up, and you're just watching her like tapping her toes on the
Can this thing go any faster? Yeah. But it's a testament to like how well Cameron is as a filmmaker that like even this moment of the queen like the door opening, the elevator's completely dark, and the queen emerging from the darkness is
such a good shot.
Really, really well done.
It's so good. And then in that moment, because like Ripley has used all her ammo in her gun, I don't even think she has the gun anymore at this point. I think she's ditched it to run. And they're on the edge of this like landing platform that basically just like opens up into a bottomless pit, right? And so when the alien queen gets out of the elevator, it's a moment where Ripley is just like holding Newt and being like, okay, I've done now we're just gonna die. And she tells Newt to close her eyes. She's like, close your eyes. And is just like, I have hit I'm between a rock and a hard place. Like there's nothing else I can do. And I love that you see her get to that moment and then the dropship shows up. It's great.
Yeah. The dropship goes back to the Sulaco.
Yeah.
And everything's really, really, really calm, and we're cool. Movie's over. Oh no, wait!
Just kidding.
It's an alien movie, so there's a fourth act, bitch. And Bishop gets stabbed with the tail.
It's such a good. To your point, this is like the best fourth act of movies ever pulled off, because it's like if you've seen the first movie, you kind of expect this to happen.
Yeah.
Even if you don't really know anything about this movie going into it, like if you were seeing this in the theater in '86, you would probably be like, okay, but in the first movie, the alien fucking stows away. So like, and even if you know it's coming, the way they execute it is so fucking good, because Ripley and Bishop have the moment where Ripley's like, you know, Bishop, you're all right after all. And he's like, oh, you really think so? And she's like, yeah, I do. And it's like such a sweet little moment. And then a huge spike just goes all the way through Lance Henriksen, and he just starts spewing so much milk. It is like a pitch perfect. It's so good.
And then he gets... Then the tail lifts him up in the air.
Yeah.
And the queen comes out from under the dropship.
Yeah.
So presumably she's just hanging on for dear life on that dropship a few minutes ago. Like, oh, shit, that atmosphere really hurts.
They're going to be so surprised when I get down from here.
I'm going to pop out and be like, hey, guys, I'm still here. They're going to shit their pants. Yeah. The tail lifts him up into the air. We see him go into the air, and then this dummy just gets ripped in half.
It's so good. It is in fact so good that I don't even care that his guts are android guts. Like, I'm like, this is all the blood and guts I really needed in this movie. And even though it's like, because this isn't a particularly gory movie.
No, I think Cameron didn't want to make this a gory movie out of respect for the first one, because
Yeah.
other than the chest burster, there's not really a lot of gore in that first movie.
Yeah.
And I think that was the right move. I don't think I need gore from an alien movie.
I agree. I think the chestburster scene in the first movie is gorier than anything in this movie, but like I don't miss red blood on screen in an alien movie. It's like it's much more about like the tension and the atmosphere and shit. But also, like, I am a gore hound, and the bishop getting ripped in half scratches the itch just as well.
Yeah.
Even though his guts are like robot parts. It's just like the way it is executed is so effective and so much the exact same thing that I love about like over the top movie violence, that it's like it doesn't matter that it's white instead of red. It
Right.
is the best shit.
And then we get a lot of shots of this torso dummy flopping around on the deck going, oh, yeah.
One of my
Which
favorite,
is so fucking funny.
it really made me laugh when Ripley is gonna throw the alien queen out of the airlock, and so the airlock has been opened and all the stuff starts getting sucked into space, and Lance Henriksen's torso just starts sliding across the floor, and he's like, whoa. I was really tickled by it, especially because like he's not scared. He can survive in space. If he goes out that airlock, he's just gonna be floating. So
Yeah.
he's like not even scared. He's just kind of like, whoa,
Hey, hold on there.
hey, whoa. But yeah, so before she opens the airlock, she of course has to get into the mech suit.
Yeah, she has to have a boss fight.
Yeah, and
Get
this-
away from her, you
it's
bitch.
the most iconic line in any action movie.
And she delivers it perfectly.
Yep.
And the power loader is this fight in general.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the earlier, like the introduction of the power loader, but just anytime the power loader's on screen in this movie, like I'm having a great time because
Yeah.
it's just such a good. It's crazy that this is just a thing they made in a lot of shots. Yeah,
Yeah, it's there's a guy in there, his face is basically against Sigourney's back,
yeah,
and he's puppeteering this thing, supported with wires and some some poles that they hid in the shots.
yeah.
But at no point does this feel like an effect.
No, it just feels like
completely real.
Right. When you're looking at it, you're like, how did James Cameron make a mech suit?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the power loader fight's rad as fuck.
It's so
It's
cool.
so good.
It's so cool.
I
I love the welder bit where it like sticks
Yeah.
the mouth within a mouth like at her, and then she turns on the welder and like flame throws its face. That's so good. Yeah.
There's some miniature shots in here of like
Mhm.
a miniature power loader and a miniature queen that are so brief that you don't catch them unless you're looking at them.
You kind of can't even tell.
Yeah.
This scene is truly like some of the most magical movie making
yeah,
that I feel like I've ever seen.
pure popcorn entertainment.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
And of course, Horner's. I like that a lot of this does not have any score
Me too.
until the end. Like Horner doesn't give you the score until they fall down onto the airlock,
Yeah.
and then it's like a race to try to get the airlock open before the queen can get to her.
Yes, a thing that I found very, very, very amusing, and not in a way that took me out of the movie. It's just like kind of a funny visual. Is when the power loader lands on the alien queen and she's like slammed onto the airlock door. The alien queen has a bunch of arms. You don't ever really get a good enough look at her, at least for me, who's only seen this movie twice, to know exactly how many arms she has. It seems like it might be 6, it might be 4, I'm not really sure. But while the power loader's laying on her, some of her arms are like trying to get it off, but a couple of her littler arms that appear to be like more like vestigial, like not as useful, are just kind of flapping around. It was really tickling me this time that like she's got this big thing on her and she's like, ah, like so waggling her pathetic little hands while the big hands are doing the work. It was just like, it was a nice touch that I appreciated a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. She's definitely like, I've fallen and I can't get up.
Right.
Get this fucking shit off of me.
Right. She's like, oh, if only these arms were longer, I could use, but they're not really long enough to do anything, so I guess I'll just kind of flop them around a little bit to let everyone know that I'm pissed off.
And then when Ripley climbs opens the airlock, climbs the ladder, shuts it, and jets the queen out into space. Those arms are still flailing.
She's like, "Whee!"
That model's still going.
And I do appreciate that James Cameron fixed one of my very minor gripes with the first Alien movie, another perfect film. But the most minor of gripes about that first movie, it's kind of lame in the first movie when that alien goes out the airlock. It's like, oh, well, that's just a guy in a rubber suit, and he's just kind of bumping against this fake spaceship. When the alien queen goes out the airlock, tremendous effect that has aged incredibly. Still looks immaculate.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, thanks, Jim, for doing an homage to the first movie in a way that actually like fixed a thing and made it better.
Yeah. True. I think it looks really good.
Yeah.
And then everyone's happy. They fucking Newt hugs Ripley and calls her mommy.
Yeah. Ripley puts Bishop in a little android.
Bishop. I like Bishop going, not bad for a human.
For human, yeah, it is. That's a good line. And then they put him in a little bag with a little bag of android IV going into him to replace
bag of milk.
Replace all the milk that he's lost. It was giving me a lot like when they're tending to him. I felt like it was like the part in RoboCop when he's like, "They'll fix you. They fix everything."
And yeah, they go to sleep and fade in the credits and really nice, beautiful, soft music, and that's Aliens.
Yep. I like that it also ends with them in the cryosleep pod because it opens with them in the cryosleep pod.
Yeah.
Which is also true of the first movie. Yeah. Look at that. Anyway. David.
No, I want to ask you first.
Okay.
Fuck you.
Okay. Fuck me.
Justice is Aliens the greatest movie ever made?
Yeah, David. Yeah. Duh.
So you don't sound very confident at
no,
first.
I mean like duh. I mean it's Aliens. It's James. It's Big Jim Cameron's Aliens. We've been talking about it for 3 hours, and of course it's the greatest movie ever made. I mean, I've expressed my personal preference for Ridley Scott's Alien over James Cameron's Aliens. It's like comparing two perfect things, though. So it's like, at the end of the day,
it is just preference,
right? At the end of the day, whichever one is better, whichever one strikes you more, that doesn't take anything away from the other one. These are both exactly the movie that the filmmaker intended to make. It seems like there's like a very clear artistic vision. And also, they're both ridiculously entertaining. They're both pinnacle examples of their genre that, like, redefined their genre by existing, right? So it's like, a lot of the things that make Alien great are the same things that make Aliens great in some ways. And then at the same time, it also manages to be completely different and distinguish itself entirely from the first entry in the franchise, right? And yeah, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find like a more entertaining action movie, a sci-fi horror movie with like better performances, better pacing. I just don't think it exists. I think Aliens is all of that, right? It's like it's the peak example of the sci-fi action movie, and I think it will remain to be that for the foreseeable future because it seems like nobody has topped Aliens since 1986 in that regard, and I don't see anybody doing it anytime soon. So yeah, Aliens is the greatest movie ever made. David is Aliens, directed by James Cameron, the greatest movie ever made.
Justice. Yeah. I'm going to paraphrase something that Paul F. Tompkins says in the film Tenacious D in the Pick of Destiny.
Okay.
I fucking love this movie. It is the best movie ever, period.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the greatest movie ever made. Every time I watch it, I wonder if it's not going to work as well for me. I'm always like, I go into it, I'm like, maybe this is the time where I'm like, let's drop that 5 stars to a 4.5. Or let's drop that, number 1, number 2 spot on my top 100 down to 25 or 50. Yeah. And it has not happened yet because this is the defining sci-fi horror action movie of all time.
Yeah.
And one of the best sequels of all time that I think, Godfather Part 2, Empire Strikes Back, Aliens, like they're all it deserves to be in that pantheon of great sequels. It deserves to be talked about in the same breath as the first one, and yet it does so many thematic and interesting things that like separate it from that first one and make it its own unique thing. This movie shouldn't work as well as it does.
Yeah.
James Cameron shouldn't have been able to come in and say, I'm going to take this very subtle psychological horror film and turn it into an action movie, and made a movie that is as good as the first one, if not better than the first one. He should have been able to do that, but he did it because he's James Cameron, and he just is fucking built different than everyone else. And beyond that, I think it is so thematically deep with all of its exploration of PTSD and motherhood and the military-industrial complex and Vietnam and cosmic horror and capitalism. It is a wealth of just great themes, also wrapped up in something that is just one of the most satisfying, entertaining popcorn blockbusters of all time.
Yeah.
There's basically no movie that I would rather watch than it, maybe other than Goodfellas. Yeah, it's the greatest movie ever made. I feel like I haven't been able to accurately or holistically convey my feelings for this movie on this podcast, but just know
maybe if we give it another 3 hours
that I love Aliens more than almost anything else.
He loves Aliens more than most human beings that he's met.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this thing's just like a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah.
And
I'm perhaps less enthusiastic about it than you are, because I've seen it fewer times, and this holds less of a it holds less emotional weight for me as like a thing that I connect to on a like the core of my being, right? Which seems to be like a way that you connect to this movie. I hope that I get there with it on subsequent viewings, but even like from a little bit like less avidly enthusiastic standpoint, I'm still just like, yeah, nobody has ever made a movie this good.
Yeah.
You know, like it's sort of like watching Aliens. I'm sort of like, if I had seen this around the time that instead I first saw, I don't know, like some formative movies for me, like The Exorcist, right? If I had seen this when I was like 15, like I did when I saw The Exorcist for the first time, then Aliens might just be my favorite movie instead of like some horror movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I could have totally, I feel like this would have been a taste shaper if it had hit me at the right time. And even though it wasn't that for me, I can still appreciate everything that it does successfully and be like, oh yeah, this is one that like, if I sit with it enough times, I'll probably form that emotional attachment even now, just because it's like such an incredible movie.
I found myself just smiling through this whole movie.
Yeah, I was smiling big,
And
especially towards in the last like 20 minutes.
But
I was just
even
grinning ear to ear.
even like scenes where nothing's happening,
Yeah.
I'm just fucking having such a good time sitting on my couch watching Aliens.
Yeah.
And that's why we made this podcast, for
Yeah.
movies like this, for movies that make us feel this way. And I think James Cameron's Aliens is probably the finest example of that, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
And so that's Aliens. Join us next year for Alien 3.
Yeah.
But in the meantime,
What if we didn't do any episodes before that? What if our announcement
then we're just
was
an Alien podcast?
Yeah, what if our announcement was we're pivoting to an annual Alien podcast? One episode a year on each subsequent Alien movie. That's not what we're doing, though. We will have an episode next week.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I left it up to you to pick the movie, so
Yes.
what are we doing next week?
I have selected a film. This is one that both of us have talked about doing on the show before.
Okay.
And I was just like, time to just break the seal. We're just going to do it. We're going to stop putzing around, and we're going to just...
Can I guess what it is?
Sure, you can guess.
Have we seen it before? Either of us seen it before?
We've both seen it before.
Is it an action movie?
In some ways. Do you want to guess?
Is it Mandy?
It is not Mandy.
Okay.
So we are going to be delving into a film genre that so far we have not touched in the history of this podcast, and that is the documentary film. This is not a work of fiction.
Oh.
We will be talking about a documentary that David and I have both seen, and I think means a lot to both of us, potentially. 1977's Pumping Iron, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno as themselves. So we'll be welcoming Arnold back to the show after last appearing in True Lies.
Right.
But we'll see a different side of Arnold this time because he's not playing a character. In some ways he is playing a character.
He is playing the ultimate character, which is himself.
We'll talk about it. So next week we'll be Pumping Iron.
Yes, next week, join us as we inject steroids and drink beer. Milk is for babies. And, we're coming in the gym.
We're going to be coming day and night.
Coming day and night.
It's terrific, right?
Yes, join us next week for Pumping Iron.
Where
I'm so excited.
We will be coming.
I was watching the Arnold documentary on Netflix yesterday. And I was like, man, I want to fucking watch Pumping Iron.
Well, now you get to.
And then your Netflix caught up with the fact that I wasn't a part of your household, and it cock blocked me before I got to the final episode.
Sorry about that.
I'll have to figure that out. It's okay. It's not your fault. It's Netflix's fault because they're corporate scumbag, much like Wayland Yutani.
Yes.
And So anyway, next week, Pumping Iron. Fuck yeah. In the meantime, spread the word about the show. Tell your friends. Like, review, rate, comment, subscribe. Maybe smoke signals. I don't know.
Yeah.
Show's over.
For a second, I thought you were going to tell the audience to smoke cigarettes. Like, comment, review. Maybe smoke cigarettes.
Smoke a cigarette.
Yes, the show is over.
Show's over.
Yeah.
Go home.
Yeah.
And as always,
Later,
dipshits.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Greatest Movie Ever Made. Please remember to leave us a rating and a review, and to subscribe to the show wherever you listen. We appreciate you supporting the show and spreading the word. Tell your friends to listen, tell your enemies to listen, tell your mom to listen. If your neighbor has an unsecured Bluetooth speaker, connect to it and play an episode. You can follow us on social media at TGMEM_podcast. And if you've got a movie that you want us to talk about, send us an email at thegreatestmoviepodcast@gmail.com.